pitches. Deep to left. There's Ron Gant's first ever grand slam. And he starts this ball game by striking out Otis Nixon on 3 pitches. Nixon makes it hurt, puts it in the gap to score a run. Well hit toward the gap in right center field and over the head of Justice. And finally, the monkey is off the bat of Barry Bonds. Drive to left, looking up, Gant, that's a home run. All of a sudden, it's 8-0 Pittsburgh.
I think now America can see the reason why the National League Series is in gridlock. But these men each have programs to get their teams moving again. Well, those persistent Pirates are a game away from their treasure, a trip to the World Series that will be all the more rewarding for the way they refuse to fold their mainsails. And as for Atlanta, to a man, each Brave must be asking himself tonight, who am I? Why am I here? After squandering a 3-1 lead, Atlanta seems to have run out of ammunition. But if they win tonight, this great national debate will be over. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to our CBS Sports continuing coverage of baseball's League Championship Series tonight. Game 7 in the National League, a game that all but the most fervent of Pittsburgh fans didn't ever think we'd see. And the winner will meet the Toronto Blue Jays. Earlier tonight, the Jays blew out Oakland 9-2 to become the first Canadian team to reach the World Series. We'll have more on the Blue Jays' historic win in just a few minutes, but first, back to our game at hand. 2 right-handed aces will battle it out for the 3rd time this series. Doug Drabek, the Pirates' big game hurler, and John Smoltz looking to become the first starter ever to win 3 League Championship Series games. And with more on tonight's pitching, let's go down to Jim Gray at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Jimmy, you're on.
All right, Pat. John Smoltz has been bothered by a bad back and a bad groin, but when he arrived here at the stadium, he told me he's feeling just fine. Now, Smoltz is working on 3 days rest for the 2nd straight time, and I asked him if he's concerned about it.
I learned some things from last time coming back on 3 days. I rushed myself a little bit in the game. I tried to get things going a little bit too quickly. Today, I think, I'm not even concerned about 3 games because the way to look at it, this may be my last start for the year, so I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to go out and have so much fun that the 3 days rest isn't even going to bother me.
John, you win Game 4, team's up 3-1. And in your mind, you're probably starting to think about the World Series. Are you mentally prepared to pitch tonight?
I look at it as either way I was going to be ready. And I looked at it as a challenge if it was going to come about. It was something that I really want to do. I want to pitch in the 7th game. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm able to do that today.
Describe the mood in the clubhouse. Are the Braves shell-shocked or are they confident?
I think both. I would be honest with you, I wouldn't lie to you and say we're not shell-shocked because Pittsburgh's come back with such a vengeance. But I think we also feel like we're the type of team that has, when it has to come down to a game to win, we feel like we can do the things that fundamentally, physically, that we're capable of doing. And with the leadership that we have on this team, I don't think anybody's not going to give 100% and play the game we're capable of.
Now, Smoltz also told us that he really wants to win tonight for Tom Glavine and Steve Avery because they had poor pitching performances in their last outings, and he doesn't want them to have to suffer through the winter with that on their mind. Pat?
All right, Jimmy, thank you. One reason that Pittsburgh has been able to force a Game 7 is the resurgence of that man right there, Barry Bonds. And tonight, Atlanta will have to silence the Pirate who can create shivers when he picks up the timber. Tim McCarver is on that case, and he quizzed Braves manager Bobby Cox about that.
Last year's Cy Young Award winner. What was it with Tommy Glavine last night that didn't click?
You know, he had Bonds leading off that inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and gave him a fastball right down the middle to hit out. And I guess he was trying to go way outside with it, and he just came back in. And the 2-2 pitch to Bell stands out in my mind because we tried to get him out away, honest in, out away. And he got the ball middle of plate in, and that's where he's tough.
When you were the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays in 1985, you lost 3 in a row after being up 3-1. How bitter of a pill was that to swallow?
I had a hard time leaving Toronto after the series. I had to drive home, and it took me a couple days just to get out of the apartment because it was such a downer for me. And, you know, you want to win so badly, and sometimes it's just not dealt to you.
When we come back, Foreign Affairs, a look at some rare birds who will migrate south with a mission as this special League Championship Series edition of Baseball 92 rolls on from the Fulton Street Fish Market to Fulton County Stadium here on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
CBS Sports presents Baseball 92, brought to you by the inventors of the compact disc, who present Compact Disc Interactive, another first from Phillips.
Sleep because, you know, it'd been eating at me because I hadn't really done too much this series, but you know, I thank God for the opportunity. You know, I always go out there, always believe in myself and have hope that I can come through, and the day was just one of those days. I came to the ballpark, I said, guys, hop on, I'm going to jump, get us off to a lead here.
And in the home first, Joe Carter delivered as promised after a quiet series at the plate. This 2-run drive cleared the 121.9 meter mark. That's 400 feet. We're going metric, folks. And Toronto made it official on this last play. The play that the Blue Jays and their fans have been waiting for throughout the course of their 16 years as a Major League franchise. How sweet it was. There have been Cardinals and Orioles, but never Blue Jays in the World Series. Never a team from north of the border. And after the game, we caught up with Dave Winfield in a crowded and wet clubhouse. All right, Dave Winfield, thank you for joining us. David, congratulations. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Pat.
Just to wipe your eyes out, stuff stings.
Oh, it does.
How exciting is this? Is this more exciting for you or for the fans in Canada, do you think?
Excuse me, how exciting is it?
Yeah, let's start with that.
It's the best. We worked really hard all year. We've reached the second level of our dreams, or our goals for the year. We won the league. We're the best in the league. We're real excited. The fans are going crazy. It's a beautiful thing.
You know, you and I talked a couple weeks ago about this being vindication for Dave Winfield. You think about that?
No, I don't really have to be vindicated. I've played a long time in this game, and I've played well every year. I just never was on the team that was able to go all the way. So with a little luck and a lot of skill, great management, beautiful city, this has been so far the best year I've had.
It certainly has. We congratulate you on that. How important do you think you have been to this team, being the wily veteran that you are, and your relationship with the fans there?
Well, I'm not going to talk about myself. I know that they were close last year, and I was just going to come and give everything that I possibly could to help this team win. That was first to play good baseball. I brought my glove, even though I'm a DH for the course of the year. And, you know, if it took kicking some of the young guys in the butt and keep them focused, we did that. But I just brought what Dave Winfield brings to the team each year. We just had enough horses to go all the way. That was it.
The series MVP was Roberto Alomar, and here's how our interview began and ended.
Okay.
That was that. We'll be back with more of the pregame 7 festivities in a moment. Stay with us. Ballpark to catch the player introductions after word from your local station. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time to meet the participants of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. And we turn it over to the Braves' public address announcer, Mr. Marshall Mann.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Game 7 of the National League Championship Series between the Eastern Division champion Pittsburgh Pirates and the Western Division champion Atlanta Braves. It's time to meet the 1992 National League Eastern Division champion Pittsburgh Pirates. Ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Jim Leyland. And now, here's the Pirates starting lineup. Playing right field, number 5, Alex Cole. The shortstop, number 3, Jay Bell. Playing center field, number 18, Andy Van Slyke. In left field, number 24, Barry Bonds. First base, number 6, Orlando Merced. At third base, number 7, Jeff King. The catcher, number 12, Mike LaValliere. Playing second base, number 13, Jose Lean.
She can run at midnight. Let's go. She can run at midnight. Go.
And down in the bullpen, the pitcher, number 15, Doug Drabeck. Your 1992 National League Western Division champion, Atlanta Braves. Ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. The starting lineup for the Braves. Leading off in center field, number 1, Otis Nixon. The shortstop, number 4, Jeff Blauser. Playing third base, number 9, Terry Pendleton. In right field, number 23, David Justice. The first baseman, number 12, Sid Breen. Playing left field, number 5, Ron Gant. The catcher, number 11, Damon Berryhill. Playing second base, number 20, Mark Lemke. And the pitcher, down in the bullpen, number 29, John Smoltz. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the U.S. 6th Marine Corps District Color Guard from Atlanta.
What? Right. Detail. Halt. Freeze it.
Now remain standing and join in the singing of our national anthem, which will be performed tonight by Emmylou Harris.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
And on deck, Sean McDonough and Tim McCarver with the call of the Game 7. Doesn't get much better than this, folks. The winner tonight goes to the World Series. And yes, we do mean World Series. Enjoy the game.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, including the newly redesigned 1993 LS400. Budweiser, the king of beers with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Intel, the computer inside.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Atlanta for the 7th and deciding game of the National League Championship Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves. Welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Tim McCarver, and it's great to have you with us as the Pittsburgh Pirates try to become just the 8th team in Major League history to come from 3 games to 1 down and win a postseason series. And by forcing a Game 7, they have another chance for Doug Drabeck as he goes head-to-head with John Smoltz for the 3rd time in this series.
John Smoltz has already beaten Drabeck twice in this series, and if he wins again tonight versus Drabeck, it will be the first time in postseason history that one pitcher will have beaten the same mound opponent in the same series 3 times. But if he does, it will be bucking a trend for Atlanta pitchers, the starting pitchers. Steve Avery went only a 1/3 of an inning on Sunday night, and Tommy Glavine only won last night. I think this is going to be a well-pitched ball game.
The Toronto Blue Jays will fly south for the start of the World Series. Will it be to Pittsburgh or Atlanta? We'll find out after this. Welcome back to sold-out Atlanta Fulton County Stadium for Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The lineup for the Pittsburgh Pirates and Jim Leyland tonight. Alex Cole leads off in right field. Jay Bell to shortstop. Andy Van Slyke in center field. The cleanup hitter, left fielder Barry Bonds. Orlando Merced at first base. Jeff King batting 6th at third base. Mike LaValliere, the catcher. Jose Lean, the second baseman. And the pitcher, Doug Drabeck, bats 9th. Those are the batting averages for the Pirates in this league championship series.
Defense for the Braves. Gann in left, Otis Nixon in center, and David Justice in right. Pendleton, Blauser, Lemke, Bream on the infield, and Berryhill behind the plate.
First pitch of Game 7, a fastball inside from John Smoltz to Alex Cole. And another fastball, this one high. 2-0 on Cole, who has appeared in 2 games in this series. The 2 games started by John Smoltz, 1 and 4. He's 2 for 8. Borderline strike. Another fastball. Nothing but heat to this point from Smoltz to Cole.
One thing that Bobby Cox, the manager of the Braves, said about John Smoltz was that he had to throw strikes early in the count. To Alex Cole, he hasn't done that. He walked 80 this year in 246 innings.
And he walks Cole to start the ball game. Alex did not swing at a pitch, and he walked on 5 pitches.
Good news and bad news so far for Smoltz. He's throwing hard, but he's been wild.
The lead man on for the Pirates in the first. The batter is Jay Bell. We'll look for a bunt in this situation with Bell. Jim Leland has employed the bunt frequently throughout the years with Jay Bell, even in the first inning.
He had 9 this year in the first inning.
He pops that one up. Berryhill makes the running catch.
The barrel of the bat is below the ball, and that's why he popped it up. Berryhill makes a nice play. A catcher's first responsibility, fair territory. That's why he went out and then back to make a nice play.
1 out. We're in the top of the first. Andy Van Slyke digs in. Andy is 6 for 25. He's had at least 1 hit in every game in this series except Game 2, the 13-5 Atlanta victory. Breaking ball for a strike. Bobby Cox. He was the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays in 1985 when they squandered a 3-1 lead in the LCS against the Kansas City Royals. Only 2 teams in League Championship Series play have ever blown a 3-1 lead. That's a fair ball. Past the dive of Sid Bream and down into the corner. Fielded by Justice. Cole will be held at third. Van Slyke in a second with a double.
Andy Van Slyke is the best low ball hitter on the Pirate team. And watch where the fastball from Smoltz is. Right down in his wheelhouse. Just inside the bag. A diving Bream can't get to it. That ball hopping over his glove. And the Pirates are threatening early.
With second and third and 1 out for Barry Bonds, who hit his first ever postseason home run last night, leading off the second inning to ignite the rally of 8 runs against Tom Glavine. They won't take a chance with Bonds here with first base open. They'll walk him and work to Orlando Merced.
I'm sure Jim Leland is probably thinking the only lineup change that either team has made this year, all of the lineups have been, or during this year's championship series, all of the lineups have been the same. The right-handed hitters facing the left-handed pitching, and a predictable left-handed batting order facing right-handers. But last night he was thinking about it, and he said, I think I'll move Merced to the 5th hole, and it could pay early dividends here in the first inning. Jeff King batting 6th this evening.
Leland wanted another left-handed bat in the lineup right behind Bonds, and that's what he has with Merced. 1 for 7 in the series is Merced. He's 1 for 5 in the 2 games in this series against Smoltz. The infield back at double play depth. The bases loaded with 1 out in the top of the first in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Breaking ball inside corner, strike 1. Breaking ball in the dirt. Good block by Berryhill as he shifted to his right. 1-2 on Merced with Alex Cole at third base.
That was a terrific play by Damon Berryhill. Not only does he block it, but he gives John Smoltz confidence when and if he throws another breaking ball. The effective breaking ball is down, and you have to have a catcher who can block the ball to have confidence to throw it with a man on third.
Well hit. Right field. Deep enough to get the run in as Justice makes the catch in front of the track. Cole across with the first run of the ball game, and the Pirates lead 1-0 in the first inning. It's the second RBI in this series for Orlando Merced. And you're looking live at Clark's Bar in Pittsburgh, where Pirate fans are watching tonight.
It's right near the stadium, isn't it? Right down the street from Three Rivers Stadium. The Pirates strike first, a hanging breaking ball to Merced. Second base open. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bonds run early in the count.
And Slike took third on the fly ball to right. Jeff King with a very high fly ball near the bullpen. Gant over and couldn't get it. He overran the ball.
I think he had to negotiate that pitcher's mound. That is the bullpen mound right there. So he went up and down, and by the time he got his equilibrium back, he had overrun the ball, and Ron Gant appeared to hurt his left foot or ankle, but he's okay, limping back to his position.
He went up and down, then almost over and out as he hit the railing by the bullpen. The one-strike pitch to King. Check swing at a breaking ball. King, the sixth batter of the first inning, batting with first and third and 2 outs and 1 run in. Jeff's picked it up over the last 2 games. He's 4 for 9 in games 5 and 6 combined. Bond stole 39 bases during the regular season. He has the only Pirates stolen base in this series. And he's running, and King pops it up. Berryhill and Pendleton. It's Berryhill to end the inning. The Pirates are on the board with 1 run in the top of the first after half an inning. Pittsburgh 1 and Atlanta coming up. Another beautiful night in Atlanta. The temperature at game time near 70 degrees. Ideal conditions for the sellout crowd to watch Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The starting lineup for Atlanta tonight: Otis Nixon in center field, Jeff Blauser the shortstop, Terry Pendleton at third, David Justice in right, Sid Bream at first, Ron Gant in left, Damon Berryhill the catcher, Mark Lemke the second baseman, and the pitcher John Smoltz bats ninth against Doug Drabeck, who's 0-2 in this series.
The defense for the Pittsburgh Pirates: Barry Bonds in left field, Andy Van Slyke in center, Alex Cole in right, King at third, Bell at short, Leaned at second, and Merced at first, and Mike LaValliere behind the plate.
Drabeck's first pitch of the night, a strike to Otis Nixon.
And if you're keeping score at home, write quickly. Shorthand.
Slapped out of play. Drabeck quickly ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. The umpires: John McSherry behind the plate, Randy Marsh at first, Steve Ripley at second, Gary Darling at third, Jerry Davis is along the left field line, and Ed Montague calls the plays in right. The 0-2 pitch. Nixon 0 for his last 8 after his record-setting 5 straight hits earlier in the series. Still 1-2. Jeff Blauser waits on deck.
Nixon had 3 straight hits against Doug Draybeck in that game 4. Draybeck going with a lot of breaking balls, fastballs tonight.
Looked like Doug lost his balance a bit as he delivered that fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nixon had been 2 for 24 lifetime against Draybeck prior to this series. But Otis has gone 3 for 6 against Draybeck in the NLCS. There's a lot of talk about the lack of intensity in the stands here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium in this series as compared to the postseason last year. But tonight, you sense the electricity is back. Now the 2-2. Chico leaned. Throws him out. 1 out. We're in the bottom of the first. The Pirates lead 1-0 on a sacrifice fly by Orlando Merced in the top of the first. Like Otis Nixon, Jeff Blauser is slumping. He's 2 for his last 15. Breaking ball missed inside. Draybeck has failed to survive the 5th inning in either of his first 2 starts in this series. 1 ball and 1 strike on the Atlanta shortstop. Included in those career numbers for Blauser against Draybeck, a home run in game 1 of this year's LCS. King, the diving stop, to his feet to throw him out.
Fine play by Jeff King. Had that ball gotten by him, it is doubtful that Bell would have thrown out Jeff Blauser. Gets to his feet and guns him out. Nice play by King.
Well, with all the attention early in this series and the lack of production from the heart of the Pittsburgh order, very little attention has been paid to the difficulties of Terry Pendleton at the plate. He's hitting just .231. 6 for 26. And then he looked at a breaking ball in the dirt.
Pittsburgh Pirates got him out last year, too. For the 14 games that these 2 teams have played in postseason the last 2 years, Terry batting only .196.
One ball and 1 strike on Pendleton. Of course, Terry picked it up in the World Series last year. He had .360 against the Minnesota Twins. He's been bothered by a sore groin, but Bobby Cox says he's been running as well as at any time this season. In the air in right field, not deep. Cole to catch. The Braves go in order in the first after 1 in game 7. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Right-handed hitting platoon players in the lineup tonight because they've been so successful in this series. But Jim Leland says we're not going to mess with the formula that worked for 168 games. And he also noted correctly that the 3 highest averages for their careers against John Smoltz have come from Cole, Merced, and LaBelliere.
And the difference between the left-handers and the right-handers, and we'll have the numbers for you. The left-handers, to whom Sean was referring, they're 4 for 21, and the right-handed batters batting .487 against left-handers. And they're the left-handed trio versus Smoltz.
That's why they're in there. Those are the 3 highest batting averages on the Pittsburgh team lifetime against Smoltz. LaBelliere strikes out. 1 out of the second. That's the first strikeout of the night for Smoltz. Jose leaned 1 for his last 11. And Smoltz has been smoking them, as he did during the regular season when he led the National League in strikeouts with 215. The first Brave to lead the league in strikeouts since Phil Niekro back in 1977. Pendleton is playing even with the bag, and he throws leaned out. 2 down in the second. The Pirates lead 1-0.
John Smoltz starting his 7th postseason game, and this is his 3rd consecutive decisive game. He worked Game 7 in the LCS last year, Game 7 in the World Series, and now Game 7 this year. Only one other pitcher in Major League history has worked 3 decisive games. Bob Gibson in the World Series in 1964, 7 and 8.
Drabek with a high fly ball along the right field line for Justice. The Pirates go in order in the second. After an inning and a half, 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Sports coverage of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Sprint, not just another phone company. And by your Toyota dealer, who invite you to discover the all-new Corolla. Discover Corolla again.
We have reason to believe that home plate umpire John McSherry is not feeling well. During the break between innings, he took a seat adjacent to the boxes where National League President Bill White is located. A couple of his fellow umpires came in from the field to check on McSherry, and now they're all, those in the infield at least, conferring with John McSherry at home plate. He does not seem to be feeling well.
I think the other umpires may be asking John if he needs relief behind the plate. Obviously, the home plate umpire, the most important umpire of the 6. Maybe right field or left field, they are possibly talking to him about that. I can't remember a league championship series or a World Series where an umpire left and there was no one to replace him. A couple of years ago, Bruce Fleming replaced an umpire in the 1990 World Series.
I think he's going to give up at least the home plate umpiring responsibilities because he has sent Randy Marsh off the field, and he'll probably return wearing the home plate umpire's equipment.
Right.
Let's check in with Jim Gray.
Okay, Sean, we don't know exactly what's wrong with him. However, he did come over to Bill White. He is sweating profusely and told him he didn't feel well. He felt a little bit faint, and you could see that he's just very, very pale and peaked right now. Bill White, we asked him exactly what was wrong. He didn't want to comment about it. He's now being in contact with Dave Pursley, the Braves trainer, as he is not well right now and is feeling faint. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. You can imagine that for the umpires, this is as exciting an experience as it is for the participants, and this has to be personally greatly disappointing to John McSherry as he heads off.
Ed Montague, the home plate umpire last night, talking about severe butterflies before the game.
We'll return in just a moment. Pittsburgh leads 1-0 after an inning and a half, and the game is being delayed with the Braves about to come up in the bottom of the second inning due to the departure of home plate umpire John McSherry, who obviously was not feeling well. And we believe that Randy Marsh, who was working first base at the start of the ball game, will take over the home plate umpiring chores. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, this is their 3rd straight chance to get to the World Series. In 1990, they lost to Cincinnati in 6 games in the League Championship Series. Last year, they lost the final 2 games at home and lost the series to Atlanta in 7. Before the game tonight, I had a long conversation with Jim Leland. We talked about his experiences in the playoffs and his feelings about wearing the black and gold of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the City of Champions. Well into the answer, you could tell that he was deeply philosophical and emotional about what tonight's game meant for him personally.
Now it's unbelievable, just like it was when the Penguins won last year. It's something that binds this country together, and that's certainly something that we need come election time. Kind of join hands and pull for one another and fight one another, so to speak, debate one another, whatever it is, who's the best. It's all kind of apropos. And I'm proud to be a Pittsburgh Pirate. That's why I signed a long-term extension. And I've said several times they'll probably want to get rid of me before I want to leave there.
It was indeed a very emotional Jim Leyland before this 7th and deciding game tonight, but he went on to say something I think is particularly important. He said, I don't think I should be judged along the same lines of a Tommy Lasorda or a Whitey Herzog or a Tony La Russa, who have won world championships, until I win one. But I won't think that I'm any less of a manager if we do not win this playoff series tonight. After all, we've won more than 90 games the last 3 years, and there are certain things you cannot control. He said, I'll believe that I'm every bit as good a manager as I think I am, regardless of the outcome tonight. That's the right attitude for him to have.
Those colors, interestingly, the same colors that Jim Leyland had in high school at Perrysburg, Ohio, when Jerry Glanville, who is now the coach of the Atlanta Falcons, was a senior and Jim Leyland a freshman. Those are the same colors he wore in high school, so I guess he got attached to them at a very early age.
And with the same letter and insignia almost on the cap and jacket that he's been wearing much of his life. Tim, is this delay at all deflating for the players? Does it take away from some of that emotional edge that obviously everybody on each side had coming into this Game 7?
I don't think the players, I don't think it detracts from the players' emotion. However, that guy right there, John Smoltz, could be affected, and so could Doug Drabek. The pitchers are the ones most affected by the delays. The regular players, there's no effect whatsoever.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we have a delay due to the illness of umpire John McSherry, the home plate umpire. He has left the game, and we believe that when Doug Drabek takes the mound, Randy Marsh will be the home plate umpire. National League President Bill White now in the Atlanta dugout explaining the situation to Bobby Cox. And we'll return to Atlanta in just a moment. Welcome back to Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pittsburgh Pirates are back in the field, getting ready for the bottom of the second. The Pirates lead 1-0 on a sacrifice fly in the first inning by Orlando Merced that scored Alex Cole. And Randy Marsh has indeed taken over as the home plate umpire. John McSherry has not come back on the field, and this game will resume with 5 umpires. How they decide which line the one remaining outfield umpire works remains to be seen, or perhaps they'll put him in the middle.
Each of these teams have played 168 games for the chance of going to the World Series. And I asked Bobby Cox before the game if he slept well last night. He said, He and his wife Pam have a cabin about 50 miles south of Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where he spent his off night 2 nights ago. And then last night with a loss, he said he didn't sleep well at all. He was at the ballpark today at 12:30.
So Doug Drabek, after the delay, is ready to go. Facing the middle third of the order after a 1-2-3 first inning, David Justice leads off and takes a breaking ball for strike 1. The first call of the night for Randy Marsh behind the plate.
John, you asked an interesting question while we were away. How do you determine where the odd umpire goes? Where does he go? To the left field line or the right field line? David Justice, a left-handed hitter. There's no umpire down the right field line. I meant odd as far as count. I wasn't talking about it from a people
from a personality standpoint.
Right.
Well, one outfield umpire is in left field, even with the left-handed hitting Justice at the plate. And that's why, because the ball goes in that direction. These fellas know what they're doing.
David Justice certainly did.
Officially, the game delayed by 11 minutes due to the illness of John McSherry, and we'll work to get you a report on his health. Ed Montague, who was to be the right field line umpire, has moved in to take over first base. Randy Marsh from first base behind the plate. And everybody else in his original position among the umpiring crews. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Justice. Doug Drabeck is 30 years old from Victoria, Texas, a free agent at the end of the season. Unlike Barry Bonds, he has not spoken very often about his contractual status during the year. But he told us at mid-season that all things being relatively equal financially, he would prefer to stay with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Everybody talks about how free agents always seek the bigger markets. There is a degree of comfort in the smaller markets. The expectations aren't as great. Maybe that's what Doug Drabeck was thinking when he made that remark. Because when you sign as a free agent in a big market, the expectations are great. A lot more fans at the games, a lot more television exposure, and a lot more pressure, as indicated by many, many examples over the years. The most recent, I guess, Bobby Bonilla in the New York Mets.
Drabeck battling Justice. He's fouled off a couple of 2-2 pitches. And that's bounced foul toward the Atlanta dugout. Two homers in his individual dealings with Doug Drabeck over the years for David Justice. He hit a home run in each of his last 2 times up last night off the knuckleballer Tim Wakefield. Tried to check his swing but could not. And the lengthy battle ends with Drabeck on top. It's his first strikeout of the night. Sid Bream strides to the plate. After a quick start in this series, he has cooled off a bit of late. Slowly to second, the Chico lean. 2 down in the second. Drabeck has retired the first 5 Atlanta hitters tonight.
So far, Doug Drabeck has not gotten into a pattern of beginning hitters with the same pitch. He'll go from the curveball to the slider. He likes to pitch left-handers away with the fastball. He'll come in occasionally bad, but he looks like he's mixing up his pitches a lot better than he has in his previous 2 starts.
Ron Gant facing Doug Drabeck. The Pirates lead 1-0 in the bottom of the second. Gant with a swing and a miss for strike 1 as he tries to end an 0-for-9 drought.
I do not think Ron Gant will see anything from the middle of the plate in. He is a devastating inside pull hitter. So look for Drabeck to pitch him away. If he comes in, it's by mistake.
Big swing and a miss. Gant in the hole, 0-2.
You can see Ron Gant with that left foot pointed toward third base. That's another reason you don't want to come in.
Low and away. Drabeck and Gant from the same hometown, Victoria, Texas. The 1-2 pitch. Line to center on the run. Van Slyke dives and makes a great catch. That's the defensive play of the series to date. Andy Van Slyke diving to take a hit away from Ron Gant. We'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station.
That Andy Van Slyke has won 4 Gold Gloves, and we're going to see one of them in a second. Here it is, 2 out, nobody on, and look at the jump that Van Slyke got to make the catch in that huge glove that he uses. That glove is as long as a cesta if you are a High Life fan.
Andy has won 4 straight Gold Gloves through 1991, and he will probably add another to his trophy case this offseason. Alex Cole has scored the game's only run. He's beginning the 3rd against John Smoltz. He drew a leadoff walk on 5 pitches to start the ball game and scored on a bases-loaded sacrifice fly by Orlando Merced. Check swing at a ball low. No swing, said Gary Darling. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cole, Bell, and Van Slyke coming up in the 3rd. Fastball lifted along the line into foul ground, and again on the mound Gant, but this time he stays with the play for the first out of the inning.
You can see Ron Gant looking down at the mounds there. We've made some comments during the regular season, Sean, about, in my opinion, all mounds should be removed from the playing field. I think they're very dangerous. We saw earlier where Ron Gant had to go up and then down, and he is negotiating that mound once more. I think they ought to be off of the field of play, but they're not in most ballparks.
Certainly an excellent chance to get injured when you have to run across that mound to make a play. Jay Bell tried to bunt his first time up. He popped it up, and Berryhill caught it in foul ground. Smoltz even with Bell now at 1 ball and 1 strike. Jay put the finishing touches on the 8-run second inning last night with a 3-run homer that knocked Tom Glavine out of the ball game. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
This is a nasty slider away to Jay Bell.
And he blew him away with the fastball. Smoltz has retired 6 in a row. That's his 2nd strikeout of the night.
It's not necessarily the pitch, but how did he get there? You remember the slider low and away, and then Smoltz comes back with a high fastball to get Jay Bell.
Andy Van Slyke. A ball low and in. Andy doubled down the right field line to set up the Pittsburgh run in the 1st inning. It moved Alex Cole from 1st to 3rd. Cole would score on a sacrifice fly by Merced. 1 ball and 1 strike. Barry Bonds waits on deck. The breaking ball missed. You mentioned 3 7th games in the postseason already for John Smoltz, and he's only 25 years old. And with the talented nucleus of this Atlanta team, you have to think he'll have other opportunities in the future.
He came to the Atlanta Braves as a 20-year-old, John Smoltz, that is, for Doyle Alexander in 1987. Alexander went on to go 9-0 for Detroit, and Smoltz, has he ever developed?
The crowd watched the strikeout, and Van Slyke fouled it away.
You hear that term so often, a trade that helps both ball clubs. There was immediacy as far as Detroit was concerned. They wanted Alexander. They got him for that year. And the Braves were building a pitching staff. They got Smoltz for the future, and he has developed.
Still 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and the bases empty. In the top of the 3rd, the Pirates batting with a 1-0 lead. In this series, Van Slyke is now 4 for 8 against Smoltz. Routine fly ball for Justice. The Pirates go in order again. On to the bottom of the third in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. 1-0 Pirates.
Toyota proudly presents All-Around Champions. A simple batting tip can improve your game. A simple autograph can make you happy. And if it's Cubs catcher Rick Wilkins giving them to a group of Special Olympics participants, then they mean even more. They mean someone has taken the time to say, I care, and that's simply wonderful. Toyota is pleased to salute all-around champion Rick Wilkins by donating $1,000 to Special Olympics Chicago.
Is sponsored by Budweiser.
The only run in this game came in the top of the first. Alex Cole started the inning with a walk. He advanced to third and scored on a sacrifice fly by Orlando Merced. Doug Drabek has faced 6 batters and retired them all. And home plate umpire John McSherry left after an inning and a half due to illness, replaced by Randy Marsh, who started the ball game at first base. Our blimp tonight is Goodyear's Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls once again is Captain Jim Maloney from Vienna, Virginia. And in our continuing desire to be straight down the middle, we even get a blimp captain from between Atlanta and Pittsburgh. Damon Berryhill leads off, and Drabek starts him with a breaking ball that missed. Damon 0 for his last 8, 1 for his last 15 to drop his series average to 143. Mark Lemke to follow, and then John Smoltz. That breaking ball stayed high, and it's 2-0.
Don't look at the camera. Watch the game.
Teaching your son not to be a ham early in life. 2-1 on Berryhill. During the game last night, we speculated that Jim Leland might be considering taking the knuckleballer Tim Wakefield out with his team ahead 8-0 after 2 innings, or at some point thereafter, to have him ready for the possibility of appearing in this Game 7. But Jim Leland told us that never crossed his mind. Berryhill drives one to deep center field. Van Slyke on the run to the wall. It's off the wall. He has a long way to go to track it down, but Berryhill is slow, and he stops at second. The Braves have their first base runner of the night.
There have been 13 players that have appeared in every game for both sides. Before that swing of the bat, Damon Berryhill was the only player without an extra base hit in this league championship series. But he has one now to lead off the third.
The tying run is in scoring position, with nobody out in the third inning. And the batter is Mark Lemke, trying to end an 0 for 10 slump. And the tomahawk chop has returned with feeling to Fulton County Stadium. Lemke at the plate, the pitcher John Smoltz on deck.
A very interesting play with the pitcher up next. You may remember in Game 4, John Smoltz with 2 hits, an RBI, a stolen base. That was in Game 4 at Pittsburgh, a game won by Atlanta and Smoltz. That was a 2-out single to center to plate the RBI. Here Bobby Cox has Mark Lemke bunting Berryhill over to third base, or an attempt to do that with Smoltz on deck.
But those hits for Smoltz in Game 4 were an aberration. He hit only 160 during the regular season. Again, Lemke turned to bunt and took a ball outside.
Now, Lemke, if he does bunt, he will count no balls and 2 strikes. That is a very, very strange play, even though Lemke is 0 for 10. They'll try to get the third baseman to field the ball, but the count's a ball and 2 strikes.
It would take a well-placed hit to get Berryhill in. He does not run well. That's down to third. Berryhill cannot advance as King throws Lemke out.
One thing about a play like that, when a third baseman is that far off the line, you have everybody racing for the bag. He looked the runner back. You see Draybeck cutting in front of King, Bell behind King, racing to third to hold Berryhill at second.
Lemke now 0 for his last 11, and he failed to advance the runner. The organist is playing the chant in the right key tonight. Carolyn King, the organist, who had been the object of some criticism from the fans, saying she had changed the key for the chant from a year ago, but she maintains that that's nonsense. It's the same key which she has always played, the Tomahawk chant. Smoltz 2 for 6 at the plate in this series. As Tim mentioned, he had 2 hits and 3 times up in game 4. Chop foul. 1 strike on Smoltz. He will be followed by Otis Nixon. We're in the third, and the Pirates lead 1-0. Smoltz at the plate with Damon Berryhill at second base, and 1 out. The 0-1 pitch. Fastball in for strike 2.
Draybeck worked 4 2/3 innings in game 1, 4 1/3 innings in game 4. So less than 5 innings, so he should be fairly strong tonight, and he's throwing like it.
Little looper leaned with the leaping crab in shallow right center. Smoltz got just a bit more of that. It would have found its way into right center field. The lean covers as much ground as any second baseman in the game, and it turned out to be a relatively easy play for him.
That spinning slider away off the end of the bat, and Jose Lean makes a relatively easy play out of that. But you're right, had he hit it a little more toward the sweet part, it's a dunker.
Otis Nixon bounced out to the second baseman, leaned his first time up. Berryhill at second. Now with 2 outs. He started this inning with a double. We have a report that umpire John McSherry was experiencing dizziness, and that's why he left the game. He has been taken to a local hospital as a precautionary measure. Sharply hit, but Merced has it. And the Braves cannot capitalize on the leadoff double by Berryhill. 3 innings in the books in Atlanta. 1-0 Pirates. 1-0 Pittsburgh after 3. The winner of this one goes to the World Series to meet the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
Okay, Sean, John McSherry just left Fulton County Stadium. He was taken to Piedmont Hospital. There were several doctors who went into the Braves clubhouse to try and evaluate just exactly what was wrong with him. He was suffering from some dizzy spells. An ambulance came. He left on a stretcher. They're going to take him to the hospital for further evaluation. When he left, he was conscious and alert. We'll keep you posted. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. Barry Bonds begins the 4th. Each team with only 1 hit, a double for each side. The double by Van Slyke set up the Pittsburgh run in the first inning. Bonds was intentionally walked by Smoltz in the first. Hopping fastball. Hard to tell where that missed. And Smoltz came down to the front of the mound looking in at Randy Marsh. The 2-0 offering. A bullet to right. Justice makes the catch. The sinking line drive with topspin off the bat of Bonds. A hard ball to handle, but Justice made a nice play.
This is the first swing of the night by Barry Bonds. Walked intentionally his first time up, and then a 2-0 fastball that he hits on the fat part of the bat. And there is son Bonds, Barry's wife, and her reaction. Can't hit him any harder.
Merced stepped out just as Smoltz started into his delivery. Merced has driven in the only run of the ball game with a sacrifice fly in the first inning. Chopped to second. Lemke. Two down, and Smoltz has retired 10 in a row now.
John Smoltz, when asked the difference between the regular season and postseason play, he said it's just like the NBA. In the NBA, you give them the layup during the season and not in postseason play. He said, so I'm going to try not to give Pittsburgh the layup, but Pittsburgh winning right now, 1 layup to nothing.
Really, the difference in the ball game at the moment is that Smoltz came out obviously charged up, throwing high fastballs very hard to Alex Cole and walked him. Cole wound up scoring the only run in this ball game to this point.
You can see Damon Berryhill right there trying to calm John down, understandably excited. But 4 of his first 5 pitches to Alex Cole were balls, and Cole scoring the only run in this ball game.
2-0 the count on Jeff King, who popped out and foul grounded the catcher his first time up. Pendleton, trouble with the in-between hop, recovers and throws him out. 3.5 innings played in Atlanta. Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, 1-0 Pirates. Again, we drop in live at the Clark Bar and Grill in Pittsburgh in the shadows of Three Rivers Stadium. As you might expect, they're a happy bunch, with the Bucks leading 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. One of the owners of that establishment is Pittsburgh catcher Mike LaValliere, and we are told that should the Pirates win tonight, they'll fly back to Pittsburgh right after the game, and LaValliere and his co-owners will serve the team breakfast for those who want it about 4 o'clock in the morning, they anticipate.
So that was Spanky's gang at Clark's Bar and Grill, right?
Indeed it was. That's where Barry Bonds went after his lengthy meeting with Jim Leland in Game 4. Following Game 4, they met for 2.5 hours, and then Bonds and his wife went to Clark's to discuss how things were quickly getting away from Bonds and how quickly they have turned back around for him. Jeff Blauser bounced to third in the first inning. The Braves have had only 1 base runner. That came via the leadoff double from Damon Berryhill last inning. They left him standing at second. The Braves seeking to become the first National League team to reach the World Series in back-to-back years since the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1977 and 78. Check swing and a ball high. We've heard each manager utter the quote in the last 24 hours, momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. But Tim, you were on a team that was ahead 3-1 in the '68 World Series and wound up losing. There's a strike. Is that true, or do the Pirates have a bit of momentum coming into this game with wins in games 5 and 6?
I think Pittsburgh has momentum, not because they're up 1-0, but they've got a well-rested pitcher. Of course, you got John Smoltz scoring for Atlanta. I think the momentum lies with Pittsburgh because they've won the last 2 ball games. This playoff is almost 2 halves. I think Atlanta dominated in the first half, and Pittsburgh has dominated the last 3 games. Atlanta winning the first 3 out of 4 games, and now Pittsburgh with 2 wins and a 1-0 lead in this game.
The 3-2 pitch. Got him with a breaking ball. Blauser the first out of the 4th. That's the second strikeout of the night for Doug Drabek. CBS Sports coverage of the 1992 World Series begins with Game 1 Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time from either Pittsburgh or Atlanta. The National League team will host the first 2 games of the World Series. Congratulations to the Toronto Blue Jays. They've made it to the World Series for the first time in their history. Terry Pendleton took a fastball for ball one. He was out on the fly ball to right in the first inning. Certainly Doug Drabek has to relish the opportunity to be out here in Game 7. The Pirates lost this series prior to this chance for him tonight. It would have been a long winter, thinking back about his failure to deliver in Games 1 and 4. Jim Leland felt Drabek wasn't awful in either one of those two starts. It's just he made a couple of bad pitches in some key instances that really hurt. He cited 4 0-2 counts in Game 4 that Drabek had on hitters, and all 4 of those hitters reached.
The one to Blauser in particular, a single on an 0-2 pitch that Blauser hit to right field, and that was right before the David Justice single to right to tie the game, and then Atlanta going on to win it. That was in Game 4. He's got much better stuff tonight, though. The breaking ball is sharper. The fastball has late pop on it. Both Drabek and John Smoltz in top form so far.
Both Drabek and Smoltz pitching on 3 days rest for the second consecutive start. So the pitch count you saw moments ago could be a factor as the night goes along. Merced waves off Drabek. 2 outs. We're in the 4th inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, and the Pirates lead 1-0. They're trying to become the first National League team ever to come from 3 games to 1 down to win the League Championship Series. It's only been done twice, both times in the American League. In '85 by the Kansas City Royals against Toronto, and in '86 by the Boston Red Sox against the California Angels. David Justice struck out swinging in the second. In the dirt, looked like Drabek gripped that one a bit too long. 2 balls and no strikes.
And your momentum, that point about momentum being as good as your next starting pitcher, that was not true in 1968 for the Cardinal team on which I played. Bob Gibson was the 7th game pitcher against Mickey Lolich. And Bob had won 7 consecutive World Series games before that outing. We lost 4-1, and the Tigers came from 3 down.
Chopped down to first. It's been a busy night already for Merced. That ends the inning. The Braves go in order again after 4. The Pirates 1 and the Braves nothing. John Smoltz has retired 11 in a row. He's ready to go to work in the top of the 5th inning. The Pirates lead 1-0. Mike LaValliere leads off. It's the bottom 3rd of the order coming up. LaValliere, Lean, and Drabek. Fastball a little bit high to LaValliere, who struck out swinging his first time up. Tim, you mentioned that Atlanta really did dominate in taking the 3 games to 1 advantage. Did it almost come too easily for them in those first 4 games? Did you sense any diminishing of their intensity?
Bobby Cox said no before the game this evening. I think it was the mindset of the area here that it would be pretty simple for Atlanta to just win 1 more game than they won last year, and they would be world champions, forgetting perhaps the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't think the players did, but I think that was the mindset here, because after all, last year when the Atlanta Braves came home after losing 1-0 to Minnesota in Game 7, that 10-inning game, Gene Larkin single, they had a parade here in the city of Atlanta, and Bobby Cox said it was almost as though we had won. But I think the expectations in the area were certainly there this year, that it would be quite a simple task for this very good ball club to go all the way.
Cox candidly admitted when this series started it would be a disappointment if the Braves did not win at all this year. Those were the expectations, and those still are the expectations. A long way to go in this Game 7. And the lead a slim 1 run for Pittsburgh as Cox and company try to deliver the first ever World Championship for an Atlanta professional sports team. They're combined 0 for 84 years without a World Championship. LaValliere called out on strikes.
John Smoltz just made a 1-2 pitch on Mike LaValliere on a 3-2 count. That's what pitchers try to do. They try to hit the corner. And Mike LaValliere is probably saying that's unfair. If you make a pitch like that, got to tip your hat to you. With the count 3-2.
The count is 1-0 on Jose Lean. The strikeout of LaValliere, the third strikeout of the night for Smoltz, who was retired 12 in a row. Within that string, the ground out by Chico Lean in the second inning. Well hit and hooking toward the corner. Gant was over in left center field. He has a long way to go to retrieve it. And Chico Lean has a 1-out double. The second hit of the night for the Pirates. The first was the double in the first inning by Andy Van Slyke. Lean had been slumping prior to that hit, 1 for his last 12, and when you're down 3-1, it certainly helps to have somebody with the personality of Chico Lean on your club. He was as loose as could be when we saw him around the clubhouse prior to that critical game 5 that they needed to win to stay alive, and Jim Leland says Chico Lean has the best makeup of any player he has ever managed.
Has fun playing the game.
As we could see, he was having fun out there at second base while conversing with Lemke and Blauser. Doug Drabek took a ball high. No turnabout is fair play, and wouldn't Drabek like to deliver a hit at the expense of Smoltz, as Smoltz did to Drabek in game 4. Doug will be followed by Alex Cole. There's another blazing fastball to level the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Foul back in our direction. We're in the top of the 5th inning. The Pirates lead 1-0. Doug Drabek at the plate with a count of 1-2, and the runner at second base is Jose Lean. Fastball low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, the outfield alignment of the Braves, they are swung way around toward right field. You see Gann into left center, Otis Nixon into right center, and David Justice toward the line. Doubtful that he will come inside to Drabek. Everything will be away. Sometimes if you're a hitter, of course you can't expect that with a pitcher, but if you're a hitter in the big leagues, you can tell how a team's trying to pitch you by looking at the outfield alignment. You just take time. If they're pitching you, for instance, away, well, the outfield will usually be that way. So watching that outfield alignment gives you a pretty good clue.
Struck him out on the breaking ball. Drabek lost the bat.
Well, this one is away. A tight slider, and Smoltz make that Drabek loses the bat. You could see how far that ball was off the end of the bat with that high home shot.
Smoltz is now fan 4 and has retired 13 of the last 14 hitters. Still a man at second, now with 2 down in the 5th inning. 1-0 Pittsburgh. And the top of the order comes around for the 3rd time. Alex Cole walked to lead off the ball game, and he has scored the only run of this game. That's well hit to right. Justice in front of the track makes the catch. Halfway through Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. John Smoltz and the Braves trail 1-0. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver and Jim Gray back at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pirates looking for their third straight win, lead 1-0. And among those in attendance tonight, former baseball commissioner Peter Uberoff. He is the guest of Braves owner Ted Turner, sitting in the box seats adjacent to the Braves dugout along first base. Former President Jimmy Carter, former First Lady Rosalind Carter, also the guests of Ted Turner and his wife Jane Fonda tonight. Sid Bream leads off against Doug Drabek. Bream bounced out for the second baseman, leaned his first time up. Ron Gant and Damon Berryhill to follow. The Braves have had only one base runner through the first 4 innings. That was a leadoff double in the third by Damon Berryhill. The Braves left him standing there.
This could be the key inning for Doug Drabek. Remember, we said last inning that he had gone 4 2/3 and 4 1/3. He has started 217 games during the regular season. And never has he started 2 consecutive games and gone less than 5 innings. But he's done that twice in this series, once in Game 4, once in Game 1. So this is a big inning. If he gets through the 5th inning, that might give him added confidence.
And in terms of wear and tear, he has the advantage tonight by having pitched poorly his first 2 times out because he's thrown fewer pitches than Smoltz. And pitching on the same number of days rest. Bell throws out Bream. 1 out in the 5th. After the double off the wall in center field by Berryhill starting the 3rd, Drabek has retired 7 in a row. He has thrown 59 pitches tonight. Ron Gant was robbed of a hit on a great diving catch by Andy Van Slyke on a shallow fly ball to center in the 2nd. Gant now 0 for his last 10. A very compact 6 feet, 190 pounds. Who is proud of his physique and spends a great deal of time bodybuilding.
Pumping iron.
As you might be able to tell just by looking at him.
Sometimes that can be a detriment to a player, not as far as his strength is concerned, but as far as his hitting technique is concerned. He tries to jerk too many balls. And we mentioned earlier that left foot moving out. And that is the problem, as illustrated right there. The left foot going toward 3rd. And when the left foot leaves, the front half of the body has to leave. This is an idea about Ron Gant and his hitting style this year. Only 25 hits to right field. 2.5 times as many to left, 34 to center. Last year he had 9 hits to right field. He is a real pull hitter.
And in the hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Drabek pitching Gant away, away, away.
And down. So away, away, away down south.
Now the 2-2. Check swing. It's a strike nonetheless. Gant called out on the breaking ball. The 3rd strikeout of the night for Doug Drabek.
This is the curveball from Drabek. Tightly wrapped. Gant thought it was low. Now you can see LaValliere catching it low, but did it cross the plate low? Randy Marsh says no, sir.
Berryhill, the only Atlanta base runner to this point. We don't know if it was a swing on the check swing by Gant, but we certainly know that he took a full swing at the bat rack when he returned to the dugout. The one hopper to lean. And the Braves go in order again. They've done that 4 times in 5 innings. And we'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station. This series is the highest scoring NLCS ever. These two teams have combined to score 65 runs through the first 6 games plus this one. The Game 7 has settled into a pitcher's duel. John Smoltz battling Doug Drabek, and Smoltz on the short end of a 1-0 score as we go to the 6th inning. And the pitch count particularly a factor for Smoltz because of the length of his outings in games 1 and 4. He's thrown a lot more pitches than Doug Drabek in this series. Jay Bell foul tipped one in the mitt of Damon Berryhill for strike 1. Jay's 0 for 2 tonight.
Smoltz has just been terrific in the 7th game alone. Last year shutting out Pittsburgh 4-0 in Game 7. He worked Game 7 of the World Series working shutout baseball over 7 1/3. And now only 1 run through the first 5. So in his last 21 1/3 innings, for just Game 7 alone, he's given up 1 run.
He's retired 14 of the last 15 Pirates. Still 0-2 on Bell. Van Slyke and Bonds to follow. We mentioned at the outset, only 7 teams in Major League Baseball history have come back from 3 games to 1 down to win a postseason series. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have done it twice in their history. Bell rips one into the left field corner. Gant will play it off the wall as Jay Bell pulls in a second with a double. So these two teams have combined for 4 hits in the game, and all 4 of them are doubles.
A lot of times you may hear that if a guy hits a pitch, it was a mistake. Well, guys hit good pitches too, but that was a mistake. A high breaking ball, and in my opinion, that was the first mistake thrown by either pitcher tonight. Right there, right in the sweet part, you can see Smoltz turning to the left. And the bad thing about that hit, it not only leads off the inning, but Van Slyke, Bonds, Merced, 3 left-handers coming up.
The lead man at second in the 6th inning. The Pirates trying to add to a 1-0 lead. Andy Van Slyke swung at a ball in the dirt. Bell thought about third, but thought better of it. Steve Avery, who was the starter in Game 5, warming up in the bullpen. He is the left-hander, and Pete Smith, the right-hander. Bobby Cox told us before the ball game that he would not hesitate to use Steve Avery. This is a game, obviously, that his team has to win. He'll do whatever it takes. Van Slyke is doubled and flied to right. Breaking ball missed low. 1 ball and 1 strike. The double by Jay Bell, the 28th double in this series that ties the league championship series record for the 2 teams combined. Toronto and Kansas City had 28 doubles collectively in 1985.
Tommy Glavine, the only Braves pitcher unavailable. Tim Wakefield, the only Pittsburgh pitcher unavailable.
Up the middle, Lemke can't get it. Bell being waved around, and he will score, and the Pirates lead 2-0. Andy Van Slyke drives in his 4th run of the series, and they erupt at the Clark Bar and Grill adjacent to Three Rivers Stadium.
They're up because the Pirates are up. Andy, 324 batter during the year, second to Gary Sheffield of the San Diego Padres. And the Pirates with a chance here, bunching a double by Bell, and now a single by Van Slyke. Looks like a splitter that stayed up in the strike zone.
And it's taken 6 innings, but we have our first single of Game 7. Barry Bonds takes a fastball in the inside corner. He didn't think so, and turned to expressed that opinion to home plate umpire Randy Marsh. Bonds was intentionally walked in the first inning to load the bases. They pitched to Merced, who delivered a sacrifice fly that drove in the first run of the game. The second run of the game is scored here in the sixth. The double by Bell, a single by Van Slyke. They don't generally like to run Andy Van Slyke because that can frequently take the bat out of the hands of Barry Bonds.
Andy, with 12 stolen bases on the year, the Pirates as a team with only 1 stolen base in this series. As much as that, I think Barry Bonds is the one guy that you keep things quiet. You don't send the runners. You let him hit.
1 ball and 2 strikes. The 2 faces of Barry Bonds in this series. Games 1 through 4, he was 1 for 11 without an RBI. Over the last 3 ball games, he's 4 for 10 and has knocked in 2. He hit the home run last night, starting the second inning off Tom Glavine. They've got the Bucks off and running to their 8-run second inning. The pop-up. Pendleton takes command. 1 out. Really, that was an appropriate label for the graphic of Barry Bonds that you saw, because he admits that he is a very moody person. One day very happy, the next day a little bit on the surly side. Certainly members of the media can vouch for that, but he had his coming out party in Game 5, and it's not coincidental that that's when the series started to turn around for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Orlando Merced took a fastball for ball 1. He drove in the first run in the first inning with a sacrifice fly. He bounced out to the second baseman in the 4th. Van Slyke at first with 1 out. We're in the 6th. Pittsburgh 2, Atlanta nothing. Rich Donnelly is the Pittsburgh third base coach.
Jim Leland wants to play aggressive baseball. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Van Slyke running here. Hit and run.
In the air, in shallow right center, Justice the catch.
That was Jim Leland's plans, to be aggressive on the bases before this season before this series started. But Atlanta winning the first 3 out of 4 games, and Atlanta has not been ahead over the last 3 games. Not only have they lost 2 in a row, they haven't even been ahead. So there have been opportunities for Leland to send the runner the last 3 ball games.
Jeff King waits as Smoltz throws to first. A ball high. 1-0 on King, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Van Slyke, the runner at first, with 2 outs. 6th inning, 2-0 Pittsburgh. Pulled foul. King had a lot of room to shoot for down that line, as Pendleton is playing him way off the line.
Very few hitters. There are very few hitters who don't use the fat part of the field which to hit. Usually if the balls are hit down the line, it's the pitcher and catcher's fault. Pitcher hangs a pitch.
The 1-1 breaking ball, low and away, 2 balls and 1 strike.
There are certainly times in the late innings when you want to protect against a double, but this isn't one of them, and that's why Terry Pendleton is playing way off the line. Especially the way Smoltz is throwing. The chances of King getting around and hammering a ball down there remote.
Looks like John Smoltz tried to muscle that one up to the plate and missed, and now it's 3-1. Spike on the run. King lifts it. And in left center, Gant has room. The Pirates score again with 1 run in the 6th. The Braves come up in the bottom of the 6th, trailing 2-0. 7 of the National League Championship Series heads to the bottom of the 6th inning at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. The Braves with 4 more times at bat to try to get on the board against Doug Drabek.
What's that line of a few years back? 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever know. Well, each team looking for 1 more.
Bottom part of the order coming up for the Braves here in the bottom of the 6th. Mark Lemke 0 for 1 tonight. Now 0 for his last 11. Jeff Treadway has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for the pitcher Smoltz. Drabek starts Lemke with a breaking ball for strike 1. Doug Drabek has retired 9 in a row. Atlanta has had only 1 base runner through the first 5 innings. That was Damon Berryhill, who doubled in the 3rd. Jim Leland said, "I cannot believe that Doug Drabek would throw 3 straight starts that were not of his standard." And Jim Leland was right. 2 poor starts and a brilliant effort tonight when the Pirates needed it most. Here's Jeff Treadway getting ready to bat for Smoltz. Mike Stanton is the lone pitcher warming up in the Atlanta bullpen. And the reality of the 2-run deficit starting to set in. There's a base hit. And that brings the fans to their feet. Just the 2nd base runner of the night for Atlanta. And Mark Lemke ends his 0 for 11 drought.
And we mentioned the mistake by John Smoltz to Jay Bell. Well, Doug Drabek follows suit. Watch the breaking ball up in the middle of the plate. Hammered to right by Lemke. And the Braves are hoping for the same results. Minimum, at least 1 run. And obviously hoping for a big inning.
Jeff Treadway, who has been to the plate twice in this series with 1 hit, a single. Fastball just outside. The night is over for John Smoltz. Jimmy Williams through the signs for Lemke and Treadway. The reason Treadway selected by Bobby Cox, he's .343 for his career against Doug Drabek. 2-0 Pittsburgh in the bottom of the 6th. The lead man on for Atlanta, an account of 1 ball and 1 strike on Treadway. Bob Walk is the right-hander. Bob Patterson, the lefty, in the Pittsburgh bullpen. This will be pitch number 73 of the night for Drabek. Slap to left, a little pop-up. Long run for Bonds, he can't get it. Lemke to second. It's a bloop hit off the bench for Jeff Treadway. First and second and nobody out. The Braves have the tying run at first and the go-ahead run coming to the plate.
There is no doubt about it. Otis Nixon is up there to bunt. Now, Ray Miller is coming out. Ray's the pitching coach of the Pirates. And we will see if the Pirates employ the rotation play. The rotation play is when the third baseman charges, the first baseman charges, the shortstop goes to third, and the second baseman goes to first.
And when you employ that play, your intent is to make the play at third and try to cut down the lead runner.
You could play a variation of the rotation play here. Just play your third baseman in and get the runner at second base. Because the runner at second base would be the tying run if he gets there. It's going to be interesting to see how the Pirates play. This is the rotation play. Third baseman breaks in, first baseman breaks in, shortstop to third, second baseman to first. We'll see if that's what they employ.
Not a lot of speed on the base pass for Atlanta, with Lemke at second and Treadway at first. They combined for one stolen base during the regular season. Otis Nixon 0 for 2 tonight. He squares to bunt. A high chopping bunt could be a problem. Merced has no play.
Played it straight up and got burned. Look at the hesitation by Merced. Draybeck looked at Merced. Merced hesitated, and Otis Nixon has an infield bunt single. Merced's got to close in on Otis Nixon. He can't lay back, but he did. He's got to know that Jose Leon's going to be behind him covering first base. Merced, his second mistake on a bunt play in this series, and this one could be costly.
Bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the 6th inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pirates lead 2-0. The hits now even at 4 apiece, as Atlanta has strung together 3 straight hits to start the 6th. Jeff Blauser at the plate. The tying run in scoring position. The go-ahead run at first base. The count 1-0 on Blauser, who is 0 for 2 tonight. He has been outstanding throughout his career with the bases full. A .375 career average. Terry Pendleton to follow. Breaking ball. He tried to check his swing and could not. 1 ball and 1 strike. Do you see any signs that Draybeck has lost anything in the 6th inning?
No, he made the one mistake to Lemke. The other ball, the hit off the end of the bat, and now the bunt single. He's in trouble.
It has hardly been a loud inning in terms of the contact made by the Braves here in the 6th inning, but they've loaded the bases with nobody out. They're down 2-0 in the 6th. The 2-1 pitch. Fastball, line to third, caught, double play. Right at King was the line drive, and he easily doubled off Lemke.
Hundreds of times during the year, the third base coach with a runner on third and less than 2 outs, he'll say, watch the line drive. Well, that's exactly what Lemke did then, and he also watched Jeff King step on third. In fairness to Mark, there is nothing he could have done about that line drive. Any base runner would have been dead on that one. What a break for Pittsburgh.
The biggest play of the series to this point. The tying run is no longer in scoring position. It is at first base. Now there are 2 down. And the batter is Terry Pendleton. 0 for 2 tonight. Just 6 for 28 in the series. Swing and a miss at the breaking ball.
Boy, that is some curveball by Draybeck. And as you can see, he is still maintaining some serious stuff out there. Fastball, slider, and that last one was a curveball.
Fastball outside.
The one thing you don't want in a situation like this, and pitchers and catchers are trained like that, whatever you think is your best pitch. This is a game situation. Actually, it could be a season situation. You don't want to get beat on anything less than your best pitch. That's what LaValliere has to figure out right now.
Breaking ball, pulled foul.
So Pendleton swings through the breaking ball, and now he fouls it off. So obviously Draybeck has the curveball working for him.
His way out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. Now it's runners at first and second with 2 down. And the 1-2 to Pendleton. The fastball missed outside. Pendleton keeps the inning alive. David Justice would bat next. The 2-2 pitch. Just missed. Draybeck can't believe he didn't get the call.
An inside fastball that just missed. And now, with a count 3 balls and 2 strikes, the runners will be off. Draybeck really gets away with one right there. LaValliere sitting outside. Draybeck came back over the fat part of the plate. Close pitch.
Apparently it was just low. The runner's off with the 3-2 pitch. Line to left. Bond started in. He's there and makes the catch. The Braves loaded the bases with nobody out and failed to score the double play. A huge play. And we go to the 7th with the Pirates still on top, 2-0.
Game 7 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. 2-day priority mail service from your post office. And by Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered.
Perhaps the biggest play in this series, with Pittsburgh leading 2-0, bases loaded and nobody out. An unassisted double play by Jeff King. Jeff Glauser hits it off the trademark. It wasn't hit hard. And Mark Lemke is doubled up at third base. Pendleton flies to left field, and Pittsburgh escapes without yielding a run, and Mike Stanton, the left-hander, in there.
Greeted immediately by the base hit by Mike LaValliere. Jim Leland left the left-handed swinging LaValliere in there to face Stanton, and Stanton's first pitch delivered to left. Stanton has been perfect in his 4 appearances prior to tonight in terms of not allowing any runs. He's pitched 3 2/3 innings.
You might be asking yourself why it was Mike LaValliere left in there by Jim Leland. Well, he's catching a shutout. He and Draybeck have something going now, and that supersedes any offensive things that he can do, but he ends up singling to left field. But the reason he was allowed to hit was because he and Draybeck have a shutout through 6 innings.
Draybeck on deck. LaValliere back to first with Jose Lean to the plate.
If you bring a guy like Don Slaughter in, you may get more offense, but he doesn't know the tendencies of Draybeck through the first 6 innings. That's why LaValliere's in there.
There's Don Slaughter. Lean sends one back to the screen. Chico doubled with 1 out in the 5th inning, but was stranded at second. We mentioned earlier 7 teams in the history of postseason play in Major League Baseball have come from 3 games to 1 down to win a series. The Pirates have done it twice in their history. Trying to do it again as Lean sends one to right center. Nixon playing in that direction with the catch for the first out. The first team to ever come from 3-1 down was the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1925. They did that against Washington. And Pittsburgh did it again in the 1979 World Series against the Baltimore Orioles, led by Willie Stargell, the We Are Family year. Doug Drabek went 0 for 2 against John Smoltz. Smoltz pitched 6 innings. He allowed 2 runs, both earned on 5 hits. He walked 2. One of those was an intentional walk. And he struck out 4. He will not pick up his 3rd win in this series tonight. Greg Olson, a spectator throughout the series after injuring his ankle, breaking his ankle in mid-September.
This is an interesting situation right here. Drabek bunting with Alex Cole on deck. Now, remember we talked about defense. Pittsburgh up 2-0. You're not going to take Cole out of the ball game. He's a left-handed hitter against the left-hander. I think Donnelly will change it around now and have Drabek swing away. I think Doug missed the bunt sign then. I thought he was bunting. I think he thought he was bunting, and I believe he was hitting away. It would be unusual to bunt with Cole against the left-hander.
He turned to bunt as Stanton threw to first base.
Alex Cole is your fastest outfielder. You're not going to pinch hit a red-hot Lloyd McClendon in this situation because you lose something on defense, and defense is the priority for the Pirates right now.
Fastball missed outside. Sid Bream to the mound to speak with Stanton. "13 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings in the postseason for Stanton. He's just 24 years old. Drabek gets the bunt down. Bream has to go to first. Lemke covering. It's a sacrifice. The play goes 3-4, and Pittsburgh has a runner in scoring position with 2 down. LaValliere at second base. And Alex Cole has been called back in favor of Lloyd McClendon. Cole does have the speed, but he is not an outstanding defensive outfielder.
Yeah, but he can make up for a lot of his mistakes with his speed. McClendon can't do that. McClendon is not as good an outfielder, and I think this is a very unusual move. Of course, Jim Leland going for another run. You can't blame him for that, but who's going to play right field? It's got to be Lloyd McClendon.
Who has 6 hits in his last 6 official at-bats, but because the streak was interrupted by a sacrifice fly, which terminates a consecutive hit streak, he has only tied the record of 5 consecutive hits in one championship series.
Of course, you could use Cecil Espy in this situation, possibly Gary Varsho, but what you're doing in essence is using 2 men for 1 pinch hitter if you do that. I think that would be the priority, to go ahead and use either Espy or Varsho rather than putting McClendon out there, because he's probably the worst defensive outfielder, certainly the worst defensive right fielder that the Pirates have.
They're pitching around Lloyd to get to Jay Bell. That'll set up first and second with 2 outs here in the 7th inning. The Pirates trying to add to a 2-0 lead as Tim Wakefield looked on alongside Gary Reedus.
If they bring in a right-handed pitcher to pitch to McClendon, then Jim Leland's going to counter with a better defensive outfielder, either Espy or Gary Varsho, both left-handed hitters. Espy a switch hitter, of course. But with Jay Bell, you may bring the right-hander in, and Bell has to stay in the ballgame because he's the regular shortstop.
Bobby Cox is going to make a pitching change with Jay Bell coming up. Pete Smith will come in. Welcome back to Game 7 of the National League Championship Series from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where the Pirates lead 2-0, and they're batting in the 7th with 2 men on and 2 outs. Mike LaValliere, the runner, at second base. Lloyd McClendon at first, and the third pitcher of the night for the Atlanta Braves is Pete Smith.
Pete Smith 7-0 this year. He was 7-4 at Richmond, and he's worked 3 2/3 innings, giving up 2 hits. That was in Game 5. These are the pitchers in the bullpen available to Bobby Cox. Avery Merker, Lee Brandt, all left-handers. Reardon, Freeman, Wohlers, the right-handers. Both managers well stocked with pitchers tonight.
Only Avery warming up at the moment. Jay Bell at the plate. So now Mike Stanton, who has been the best reliever of late for Atlanta, is out of the game after only 2/3 of an inning. And after Jay Bell, you're back to the left-handed power hitters in Van Slyke and Bonds.
Mike Stanton had gone 14 innings without allowing a run. That's over the last 2 league championship series. And he has been very, very effective in this. Probably his best left-hander. Not probably. He is the best left-hander for Bobby Cox against Van Slyke and Bonds.
And you have to think this might be a 1-batter stint for Pete Smith, with Avery still throwing and the left-handers Van Slyke and Bonds to follow. 2-0 Pittsburgh in the 7th inning. Pete Smith is yet to throw a strike. 3-0 the count. There's Avery, who was the starting pitcher and the losing pitcher in Game 5 Sunday at Pittsburgh. Van Slyke waiting in the on-deck circle. Terry Pendleton and Damon Berryhill to the mound to chat with Pete Smith. He pitched very well in Game 5 in relief of Avery. He was the man who came in the first inning when Avery was knocked out after 1/3 of an inning. And Smith allowed only 1 run over 3 2/3. Now the 3-0 pitch. Ball 4. He walked him on 4 pitches.
That was a breaking ball. A breaking ball on a 3-0 count with Van Slyke and Bonds coming up? No way. No way. I think Terry Pendleton went in and Berryhill went out, and Terry said, don't give in to this hitter. I think you better give in to Jay Bell as opposed to Van Slyke and Bonds coming up, even with Avery.
Pete Smith departs as Steve Avery comes in for Atlanta.
This is loaded in 2 outs. There's Pete Smith in the middle of your screen. I think he was talked into that pitch by Terry Pendleton. I don't know that for a fact, but Terry Pendleton came out to the mound with a count 3 balls and no strikes to Jay Bell. In my opinion, there is no way you can not give in to Jay Bell in that situation with the meat of the order coming up. I mean, 1 pop from Van Slyke or Bonds, it could put it out of reach.
And that's what Van Slyke has a chance to do as he digs in with the bases loaded. Steve Avery, the 3rd pitcher of the inning, the 4th pitcher of the night for the Braves, making only his 2nd major league relief appearance. He was the starting pitcher for the Braves in Games 2 and 5 in this series. Andy Van Slyke, 2 for 3 tonight, with a double, a single, and an RBI. Check swing at a breaking ball, low and away.
The Braves are looking at a different Andy Van Slyke than in past seasons. He was a .297 hitter against left-handers this year.
And he is 0 for 4 against Avery in this series and 3 for 20 against Avery lifetime. Tied him up with the inside fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You can get any left-hander out in that area. Perfect pitch from Avery.
With the way Drabek is cruising along, this is an absolutely critical spot in the ball game. The 1-1 pitch. Fouled out of play, and now Avery jumps ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
So the fastball up and in, and then Avery goes back to the breaking ball, low and away. 2 nasty pitches to Van Slyke.
The fans realize that this is a vital moment, and they're on their feet. Trying to spur Steve Avery onto the strikeout. Bases loaded with 2 outs. No runs in this inning for Pittsburgh. The Pirates lead 2-0 in the 7th. The 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball pulled foul.
And a collective sigh from this packed house. That an inside breaking ball to Van Slyke. He wheeled on it but pulled it foul.
Year-old Steve Avery with another 1-2 pitch. Fly ball. It'll stay in the ballpark. And Otis Nixon is there. The Pirates leave the bases loaded without scoring in the 7th. 7th inning stretch in Game 7. The Pirates up 2-0. Pirates lead 2-0, but the Braves dodged a big bullet with that 0 in the top of the 7th. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes high overhead tonight. Stars and Stripes is the most recent addition to the fleet, continuing a tradition since 1926. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
Okay, Sean, we have an update on John McSherry, the umpire. He is at Piedmont Hospital, and we just got word from a spokesman at the hospital that McSherry is in stable condition, suffering from severe dizziness, and will be held overnight for observation. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. And obviously all of us here at the ballpark tonight send out our best wishes to John McSherry. Sounds as if he'll be fine after a night of rest. David Justice batting in the 7th. Drabek will face the middle third of the order. Justice, Bream, and Gant. Steve Avery came on to put out the fire, inducing the Pirates to leave the bases loaded in the top of the 7th. Pittsburgh has stranded 7 base runners now. Drabek has only surrendered 4 hits, and 3 of them came last inning, and they came consecutively as the Braves loaded them up with nobody out, and they failed to score. The line drive off the bat of Blauser into a double play, the biggest play of this series. Roger Mason is the right-hander, Bob Patterson the lefty. McClendon still in the game in right field. Lean, bobble from his knees. Threw him out. Merced had to dig it out. 1 out in the 7th inning.
We saw the bullpen, a left-hander and a right-hander up. I think one of the things that really stands out in this series is the reluctance of Jim Leland to go to his bullpen. He realizes that that is the Pirates' Achilles heel. As a matter of fact, all 3 Pirate wins in this series have been complete games. The first time since 1973 that there have been 3 complete games in National League Championship play. The difference was in 73, one of them was a loss, Tom Seaver.
Sid Bream lines it, slicing away from Van Slyke and in for an extra base hit. Bream, after 5 knee operations, doesn't run very well, and it doesn't really matter in this case. It's a double all the way for the former Pirate, Sid Bream.
Bream hits it hard to left center. That is more or less his gap and his slot. Fastball away and spanked crisply to left center field.
The tying run is once again at the plate, with Pittsburgh leading 2-0 in the 7th inning. Bream at second with 1 out for Ron Gant. They've been pitching him away all night. That one nipped the outside corner. Gant is 0 for 2. He was robbed of the hit on a great catch by Andy Van Slyke in center field in the 2nd inning, and was called out on strikes in the 5th inning. The pitch count has to be becoming a factor for Doug Drabek, and Jim Leland is aware that Drabek has thrown 89 pitches tonight, pitching on 3 days rest for the 2nd straight outing. He's thrown 263 pitches in the 3 games in this series.
Yeah, well, this is a different type of three days rest, however. This is the 169th game of the year for either team, and the winner goes to the World Series. That 3 days rest stuff in this particular situation, with everything, with the whole season riding on it, I think a guy like Doug Drabek just laughs at that.
And he's ahead of Gant. No balls and 2 strikes with Damon Berryhill waiting on deck.
I think what Ray Miller, the pitching coach, and Jim Leland will continue to ask Drabek after every half inning, how do you feel? Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. I want to know how you feel.
Throw to second. Bream just back.
You don't necessarily always throw to a base to pick a runner off. Sometimes you want to keep him a step closer. And that's what they probably did with that close play at second.
The outfield is extremely deep. The 0-2 pitch is outside. Particularly Bonds in left and Van Slyke in center. Bonds almost on the warning track in the left field corner. They give Gant a lot of room in left center field with Van Slyke playing almost straight away. The 1-2 pitch outside. 2-2. Bottom of the 7th in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pirates lead 2-0. Gant up with 1 out. Bream at second. And a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball. It wouldn't come down for Drabek.
After 4 sliders, Drabek resorts to the curve and misses.
And undoubtedly, that's not where he meant to throw that pitch.
No.
Gant represents the tying run at the plate. And this is the 3-2 pitch. Fouled off the catcher, the value. And LaValliere still down. And Biggerstaff, the trainer of the Pirates, is going to come out to take a look at him.
I think it hit Mike in the crease. When you're down in the crouch, you see the shin guard right there. It came up in the crease of the left shin guard. The one good thing about Mike, and I think it rattled around in his thighs too, and of course they are not protected. There's the crease that we were talking about right there. There was a crease, but that ball hit the ground, came up, and then kind of rattled around in his thighs, and no protection there. Of course, the players and catchers obviously wear that protective cup for the groin area. And as you can see there, I guess it came off the shin guard and hit him in the cup.
Three balls and 2 strikes. At his establishment adjacent to Three Rivers Stadium. 2-0 Pittsburgh in the bottom of the 7th. Another Another 3-2 pitch. Hammered way foul. We got about as far in front of that one as you can.
Double in a round park. Isn't that the line?
That looked like another mistake by Drabek that he got away with.
Well, was that indicative of how much a pull hitter Ron Gant is? My goodness. Rally caps are going. Either that or donations accepted.
I don't think that's necessary in the case of either dugout. Another 3-2 pitch. High in the air. Bonds drifting toward the stands, and it hooks into the stands. Fortunately for Gant, it didn't sneak in there by much.
Ron Gant just missed that pitch. A little late action away. Sean was talking about how they've gone away, away, away. Just off the end of the bat. I mean, just missed the sweet part. But again, an indication of how quick his hands are.
Drabek has gotten away with a few pitches in this sequence that haven't been indicative of the way he has pitched the rest of the night. Another payoff pitch. Ball 4.
What a great at-bat by Ron Gant. Fouling off some tough pitches and now taking a ball just off the plate.
Clearly low and away. That is the first walk tonight issued by Doug Drabek. Gant the tying run at first. Bream still at second. 1 out in the 7th inning. Gant's been cold of late, 0 for his last 11. But that was certainly a big at bat. Jim Leland says he and only he decides when to make a pitching change. He learned that in his first year managing in the minors in 1971. In one of his first games as a manager, they had a hitting coach who roved throughout the Tiger system. That hitting coach went down to stand next to Jim Leland one night when he was pondering taking out the pitcher. When Jim looked at the coach walked away and said, hey, if you're going to be an effective big league manager someday, you're going to have to learn on your own when to take out the pitcher. Damon Berryhill in with a strike. Drabek on the verge of 100 pitches. Berryhill doubled off the wall in the 3rd. In center field. Grounded out. His last time up in the 5th. And he's in the hole here 0-2.
Again, the pitch count, I don't think the pitch count is as important for Drabek because he's a sinker ball pitcher. Often when sinker ballers are a little tired, they're more effective. It's the power pitchers where the pitch count is very, very effective to keep track of. A guy like John Smoltz, for instance, who's no longer in the game, of course.
Berryhill in the hole 0-2. Mark Lemke is on deck. Fly, not particularly deep in left field. Bonds the catch for the 2nd out. Lemke is looking back toward the Braves dugout. He's going to be lifted for a pinch hitter. It's Lonnie Smith.
Bobby Cox, main man off the bench. And Bobby's probably thinking now that we may never have another chance to use our best pinch hitter representing the go-ahead run. If he pops one, Atlanta's ahead.
All of Lonnie Smith's at-bats in this series have come as a pinch hitter. He's 2 for 5 off the bench with 1 RBI. We're at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia for Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The winner of this one moves on to the World Series and will host the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 1 of the Fall Classic Saturday night. Doug Drabek has gone all the way in this, his 3rd start of the series. He was the losing pitcher while pitching very poorly in Games 1 and 4. Given a 3rd chance by his teammates, particularly his fellow members of the pitching staff, Bob Walk and Tim Wakefield, with their performances in Games 5 and 6. And Drabek has taken advantage of this 3rd life. Holding on to a 2-0 lead with runners at 1st and 2nd and 2 outs. And Lonnie Smith batting for Mark Lemke. The breaking ball cut on and missed for strike 1. They've changed rally taps. The pitcher is due next, and Deion Sanders has moved into the on-deck circle. The 0-1. Breaking ball missed low and away. Another breaking ball. Smith fouled it away. For those fans who don't watch much baseball during the year but come to the television at playoff and World Series time, their last memory of Lonnie Smith might be from Game 7 of the World Series last year.
A base running mistake in the 8th inning that could possibly have cost Atlanta the World Championship. Running on a pitch, a double to left center. He stopped at 3rd and was stranded there.
Here's a chance to leave Braves fan with a much more pleasant memory of this 1992 postseason.
Hey, he's got to do it against some nasty pitches. 4 curveballs, and those are real downers right there. You folks at home can tell the curveball from the slider. Watch the ball go down. That is a nasty curveball, and that's why I don't even think Jim Leland's thinking about taking Doug Drabek out now.
He's had Walk and Patterson throwing throughout this inning. Mason has been up as well. They're both standing and watching out there now. The 1-2 pitch. High fly ball, shallow center. A routine play for Van Slyke. And the Braves strand 2 more. They've left 5. We go to the 8th. Doug Drabek and the Pirates with a 2-0 lead.
Is sponsored by AT&T.
Alex Cole led off this game with a walk against John Smoltz. Andy Van Slyke doubled him the 3rd. Orlando Merced a sacrifice fly to bring him in. The only other run in this game in the Pittsburgh 6th inning. Jay Bell doubled and Andy Van Slyke singled him in. And Doug Drabek has been the story of the night for Pittsburgh.
Still action on his pitches, and I think he will go out there in the 8th inning. I don't think Jim Leland. As a matter of fact, the Pittsburgh bullpen is quiet right now.
Barry Bonds leads off against Steve Avery with a base hit. He took a 1-0 pitch into right field for his first hit of the night. He's 1 for 3. And for the 3rd straight inning, the Pirates have the lead man on.
I think it's safe to say the bond market is up after being severely depressed.
New second baseman in the ball game is Rafael Belliard. That move made necessary by Smith batting for the lefty. Rafael Belliard played in only 1 game this season at second base.
Tom Glavine working only 1+ inning last night. The Pirates scoring 8 runs in the top half of the 2nd inning. That was before the relief corps could get anybody out.
Just as Doug Drabek was desperately seeking an opportunity to come back in this series in a Game 7, Tom Glavine expressed the same sentiment before the game tonight in the clubhouse. He was desperately hoping that the Braves would make it to the World Series, so he'd have a chance to atone for that performance last night. As Jim Gray told you at the outset, John Smoltz said he was pitching tonight with the failures of Avery and Glavine in the last 2 games in mind. He didn't want them to have an awful winter, thinking back about how they did not deliver in games 5 and 6. Orlando Merced at the plate. And as they inch closer to victory in Pittsburgh, some have taken to praying. Of course, when the camera comes on, they all take to cheering and screaming. Bonds at first, with nobody out. He still owns the only Pittsburgh stolen base in this series. Avery has difficulty holding runners on. Merced chops one to short. Blauser shuffles to Belliard. They cut down the lead runner. One out in the 8th inning. 2-0 Pittsburgh. This is Game 7 of the National League Championship Series.
That was a terrific play by Jeff Blauser. A lot of shortstops would take the safe out and go to first base. Blauser was actually in front of the bag. He had to turn and give a little shovel pass back to Belliard. A lot of shortstops would go to first base, but had he done so, then Bonds a real threat to steal third with 1 out.
With the situation the Braves are in, they need to do everything they can to keep additional runners out of scoring position for Pittsburgh.
Right.
Jeff King, 0 for 3 tonight. Avery misses low. Slap down the right field line. It is a fair ball right along the line. The runner is being waved around third. Merced to the plate, and he is out at home.
Hard down the right field line. That is just fair. So many shots down either line that have been so close throughout this series, and now the strong arm of David Justice nails Merced at home plate. The slap tag with a glove, and the reason that Rich Donnelly sent Merced was because of the guy who's up at bat right now, Mike LaValliere.
Left-handed hitting LaValliere against the lefty Avery. Merced cut down at the plate. At least for the moment, the Braves have dodged another bullet. They got out of a bases-loaded jam last inning. LaValliere was the first man to face Mike Stanton last inning and singled against the left-hander. He's facing Avery for the first time tonight. A ball and a strike.
It would be too much to ask Mike LaValliere to get 2 for 2 off of guys like Stanton and Avery. So I think Pittsburgh would have been put in a squeeze situation. It would have been very difficult to score Merced from third base with 1 out, and that's why I think Donnelly sent him. What did Jim Leland tell us before the game when he coached third base for Tony La Russa in 1983? He had no stop sign.
He was known as the man with no stop sign. Good breaking ball from Avery, 1 and 2. And wouldn't you know, the close play along the line in the outfield would be where there is no umpire. Because of the illness of John McSherry, the umpires working this ball game with only 5 members of the crew and no umpire along the right field line. But Ed Montague made the right call. It was a fair ball. Now the 1-2 pitch. Softly toward left. Gant makes the running catch. The Braves come up in the 8th, still trailing by only 2-0. some blowouts in this series, but not tonight. Pittsburgh leads 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning with Doug Drabek working on a 5-hit shutout. He will face Deion Sanders as a pinch hitter to start the 8th, and then Otis Nixon and Jeff Blauser are due. And we talked with Jim Leland about the prospect of maybe pulling Tim Wakefield out early last night to have him ready for tonight. He said, why would I want to do that when I have Doug Drabek ready to go? Right. Deion Sanders. Wouldn't it be ironic if, given all the controversy surrounding Deion in this series, he did something to ignite a rally? He has been a bit part in this series. He's 0 for 4. Little chopper down the line. It'll bounce foul. Steve Avery has held off the Pirates in this, just his second Major League relief appearance.
Atlanta one game away from World Championship last year. And I think they, as a group, had the feeling that anything short of a World Championship this year would be a failure.
Sharply hit, but foul past the first base bag. Most of them admitted that when the series began.
Yep. I think by taking that type of mindset, you add the have to factor. You feel like you have to, as opposed to we will. You say we have to. Big difference.
Sanders in the 0-2 hole. Check swing at a ball just low. They field down to third. No swing, says Gary Darling. Now the 1-2 pitch. Well hit, but well fouled and right. Wanted home run distance and then some, but it was well to the right of the pole.
You think about a guy like Bobby Cox. You mentioned earlier, Sean, that he was the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays in 1985. Kansas City came back after going up 3-1. Kansas City came back to win 3 in a row. And Bobby would be the only manager to have his teams lose after being up 3-1 in postseason play. Once in the American League and once in the National League.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Blew him away with the fastball. Fourth strikeout of the night for Doug Drabek.
I tell you, the bullpen is back up for Pittsburgh, but I don't think you can get Drabek out of there unless Atlanta takes the lead. The bullpen has been up for 3 innings, and with that fastball, I think that is the thing that Ray Miller and Jim Leland are looking for. Forget the pitch count. Is there action late? And you could tell by that fastball there was.
Otis Nixon takes a strike. He's 1 for 3. He was trying to sacrifice in the 6th inning with runners at first and second and nobody out, and wound up with a bonus bunt hit. When he bunted the ball off the plate, it chopped high in the air, and he beat it out. Nearly hit him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jeff Blauser followed the bunt single by Nixon in the 6th. The line drive to third to Jeff King, who stepped on third base to double up Mark Lemke. And the best chance of the night for the Braves went by the boards. Up and in, 2 balls and a strike.
Like the fastball just bending Nixon back. No intent there. Drabek just trying to throw strikes.
Bonds on the run into the bullpen area to make the catch. Two away in the 8th inning. The Braves have 4 more outs to make something happen. Jeff Blauser. He hit the line drive down to third that resulted in the double play in the 6th inning. He's 0 for 3 tonight and 2 for his last 18.
Normally, it would not be a good play to bunt with 2 out and nobody on, but since the Braves are trailing by 2, it wouldn't be a bad play. Blauser, an excellent bunter, and King is even with the bag at third base.
One strike on Blauser. Just missed the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Drabek has thrown 119 pitches. He's scheduled to bat second in the top of the 9th behind Jose Lean. Lloyd McClendon will bat third. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2. Blauser keeps the inning alive. Terry Pendleton would bat next. Struck him out. Another live fastball from Drabek, who works a 1-2-3 8th inning while striking out 2. He's fan 5, and we go to the 9th. The Pirates 2 and the Braves nothing. Earlier today, the Toronto Blue Jays earned their first trip to the World Series. The Pittsburgh Pirates, like the Blue Jays, been fighting the reputation the last few years of not being able to get to the big one. They're 1 inning away, perhaps, as they lead 2-0 into the 9th here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. A mural from downtown Pittsburgh, symbolizing the city of champions. And the full house at the Clark Bar and Grill in Pittsburgh. Realizing now that Atlanta has 3 outs to prevent their team from going to the World Series. Lean trying to pad the lead at the wall. Gant the catch. And Jeff Reardon greeted with a long fly to left by Lean. And Doug Drabek will come up to bat with 1 out in the top of the 9th.
Sometimes whoever's up in the bullpen will tell you who is coming into the game. Drabek hitting right now is telling you who's staying into the game. I think Jim Leland is going to go with Drabek from here on out. It's up to him to win it or lose it.
And that's what he's done throughout the series in the games that he has won. He's received good starting pitching performances from Walk and Wakefield. The 2 by Wakefield complete games. Walks a complete game in Game 5, and now Drabek will try to finish here in Game 7.
The last team with 4 complete game wins in a postseason series, the 1968 Detroit Tigers.
3 by Mickey Lolich that year and 1 by Denny McClain.
I was on the other end of that, and I'll tell you, I have never forgotten it, and I'll take it to the grave.
And undoubtedly, Bobby Cox has never forgotten 1985. 1-2 the count on Drabek, facing baseball's all-time save leader, Jeff Reardon. Remains to be seen if he'll be back as a Brave next year. His contract expires at the end of this season. Drabek chased the pitch way out of the strike zone. The World Series begins Saturday from either Pittsburgh or Atlanta, as the Braves or Pirates will play host to the Toronto Blue Jays. You can join us for Baseball 92 Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by Game 1 Saturday night on CBS Sports. Jim Leland watched as his good friend Tony La Russa and the Oakland Athletics went down to defeat this afternoon. McClendon came up as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning, was intentionally walked. In the bottom of the 9th, the Braves have the meat of their order coming up. Pendleton, Justice, and Bream, batters 3, 4, and 5. It's 2-0 Pittsburgh. Three balls, no strikes. And that's ball 4. Reardon walks him on 4 pitches. So a 2-out base runner as the Pirates look for an insurance run in the 9th against Reardon, the oldest man participating in this series at age 37. Berryhill out to the mound. First and McClendon back. Jay Bell at the plate is 1 for 3. He doubled and scored one of the 2 runs in this game in the 6th inning.
Jeff Reardon, the all-time saves leader, wants a hold in this game.
He became Major League Baseball's all-time save leader earlier this season while he was still a member of the Boston Red Sox. He passed Raleigh Fingers to the save in a game against the Yankees. That's back to the backstop, and now the runner is in scoring position. On a wild pitch, charged to Reardon.
It looked like Lloyd McClendon pulled his left hamstring. That will often happen when a player comes into a game late because they really haven't had a chance to loosen up. You loosen up before the game, and then you sit for about an hour and a half, and now you have to make a quick move like that. And it looked like the left hamstring of Lloyd McClendon is pulled, the upper left hamstring. And remember, if the Pirates do get into the World Series, they can make a roster change after the National League Championship Series is over. Atlanta obviously can do the same thing.
Now that would be a blow given the way McClendon has been swinging the bat. Cecil Espy, a speedier runner, is the pinch runner. He will likely remain in the ball game in right field when the Braves bat in the bottom of the 9th. Some chin music for Bell. 2 balls and a strike.
However, the only left-handed starter that Cito Gaston and the Toronto Blue Jays could be thinking about would be Jimmy Key.
Bell down to 3rd. Pendleton stayed down with it, and that ends the inning. Last call for the Atlanta Braves. Pendleton, Justice, and Bream coming up. We go to the bottom of the 9th in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Pittsburgh leads 2-0. Back for the bottom of the 9th inning of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Pittsburgh Pirates trying to become the first National League team to come from 3 games to 1 behind to win the NLCS. There have been 3 previous 7th games in National League Championship Series play, and in all 3 of them, a pitcher has thrown a complete game shutout. Danny Cox for St. Louis in 1987, Orel Hershiser for Los Angeles in '88, John Smoltz for the Braves last year against Pittsburgh. And Drabek is trying to make it a perfect 4 for 4 as he begins the 9th with a strike to Terry Pendleton, who is 0 for 3 tonight.
The Braves, on the other hand, have the meat of the order up to try to score at least 2 off of Doug Drabek.
Pendleton, Justice, and Bream will bat in the 9th inning. It's been a disappointing championship series for Pendleton. He's now 6 for 29. Drabek has retired 5 in a row. including 2 strikeouts last inning. He's had pinpoint control throughout. He's only walked 1, and that was after a battle with Gant on a 3-2 pitch in the 7th. Pendleton pulls it down the right field line, hooking toward the corner. It is a fair ball. Pendleton on his way to second with a leadoff double.
We've talked about how many close calls there have been on the line. This is another one. Cecil Espy owes Pendleton to a double. But now the potential tying run will be up for Atlanta.
That was the headline in today's Atlanta newspaper. And it is indeed now or never for the Braves. They have their cleanup hitter at the plate representing the tying run, David Justice. There is double-barreled action in the Pirate bullpen. Strike on the outside corner to Justice, who is 0 for 3. Belinda, Stan Belinda, the right-hander. Bob Patterson, the lefty. Justice at the plate, Bream on deck. Ground into the right. Booted by Lee. Pendleton to third on the play.
Made only 6 errors during the regular season. Makes his second here tonight, and it could turn out to be the biggest error of his life.
Ted Turner with a high five from President Jimmy Carter. Ray Miller, the pitching coach, on his way to the mound. Drabek up to 125 pitches in this, his third outing in 8 days.
When Ray Miller comes out, he rarely makes a move for Jim Leland. Only Leland will remove the pitcher. Drabek is still throwing well. You can see that late action, even though the ball was hit hard by Pendleton and hard by Justice, but it was booted by Leland, and here it is again. He normally sucks those balls up. One of the finest fielding second basemen in the game.
So now the tying run is at first with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning. The potential winning run is at the plate. Sid Bream, the ex-Pirate. Breaking ball in the dirt, blocked by LaValliere with the runner at third. The Braves have had chances in the late innings. They loaded the bases with nobody out in the 6th inning and did not score. They had first and second with 1 out in the 7th and failed to score. Now they have first and third with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 2-0. Bream at the plate with Ron Gant on deck. Bullpen has been a weakness of the Pittsburgh Pirates this season, and in this series we've seen Jim Leland be very reluctant to go to the bullpen. The starting pitchers are the strength of his staff, and that has continued to be true in this series. Drabek trying to gut it out in the 9th. Just missed outside. 3 balls and no strikes on Sid Bream. Pendleton, the runner at third. He started the inning with a double. Justice reached on the lead error. He's at first. Draybeck about to throw pitch number 129. The 3-0 to Breen. Ball 4. As hard as it is to believe, there are a lot of empty seats in the upper reaches of Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And there are many people in the neighborhood who are making a U-turn in their car trying to come back. Jim Leland on his way to the mound to take out Doug Draybeck. Stan Belinda will be the new pitcher. Brilliant effort by Doug Draybeck. We'll find out if it was enough after this. But it is a tenuous lead with the bases loaded for the Braves and nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Draybeck has departed after 8 innings plus 129 pitches. After the second walk that he issued tonight, Stan Belinda takes over.
The consideration now is, do you use the pinch runner for Sid Breen? The Atlanta Braves have Brian Hunter and 2 catchers. You wouldn't use the catcher. You want to save Hunter as a right-handed pinch hitter. That's why Breen's still in the game.
Belinda's first pitch to Ron Gant outside for ball 1. Gant hit a grand slam in Game 2 of this series last Wednesday afternoon off Bob Walk. Agonizing moments for Pirate fans everywhere, including those you just saw at the Clark Bar and Grill. Tying run at second, winning run at first. Gant hits one to left. Bonds on the track, at the wall, makes the catch. Pendleton on to score the first Atlanta run of the ball game.
Everybody exploding here in the stadium as though something good happened, but something bad happened for Atlanta. Something good happened for the Pirates. They got the sacrifice fly to left field and not to center or right, because the tying run's the guy who is still at second base, and that's David Justice. So 1 run scores, but for the most part, you're no closer getting David Justice home because he's still at second base.
And now a double play with the slow-footed Berryhill at the plate sends the Pirates to the World Series.
Even though Belinda is not a double play type pitcher, he throws high fastballs and rarely will throw a double play ball.
Two to 1. Pittsburgh leads in the bottom of the 9th. And Berryhill fouled one back to the screen. The tying run is Justice at second. Bream, a slow runner, represents the winning run at first base. Six-year-old Stan Belinda with the 0-1 pitch. A bit inside, perhaps just low. The run in this inning charged to Draybeck. Brian Hunter has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for Rafael Belliard. There's been only 1 hit in this inning. It was the leadoff double by Pendleton. The error by Lean, the large play. Just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Berryhill was wasn't supposed to be in this situation. Greg Olson would have been the catcher had he not broken his ankle in mid-September. Berryhill won for his last 11 in this series. The 2-1. Inside, ball 3.
Berryhill looking down at Jimmy Williams for the take sign. In my book, no way you take here. Choose a pitch, choose that imaginary box. If it's in it, smoke it.
3-1 pitch. Ball 4. Oh, so close was the last pitch to Berryhill.
And Mike LaValliere barking at home plate umpire Randy Marsh. He wanted it. He thought it was a strike.
There were a couple of close pitches in that sequence called balls. That moves the tying run to third. Now a deep fly ball would tie up the ball game. And the winning run is in scoring position. Brian Hunter has appeared in 2 games in this series. He's 1 for 4. Ray Miller on his way to the mound.
The interesting thing here is the only out of this inning was a fly ball to left field thrown by Stan Belinda. It was a sacrifice fly hit by Ron Gant. Stan Belinda throws about twice as many outs in the air as he does on the ground. He threw 1 double play grounder this year. With that in mind, Jim Leyland's going to keep the infield at halfway in double play depth, but it is very, very unlikely for Belinda to throw a double play grounder. It's more likely for him to get a strikeout, a pop-up, or a fly ball to the outfield.
Brian Hunter, one of the heroes of last year's Game 7. He hit a 2-run homer off John Smiley. He pulls that one foul past third. Stan Belinda, because he does give up a lot of fly balls, occasionally has a problem with the home run ball. He surrendered 8 of them in 71 innings. Bob Waugh throwing in the bullpen. Pittsburgh leads 2-1. 1 out and the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th. Hunter, little looper, leaned is there and makes the catch. The runner tags but will not try it. 2 down in the bottom of the 9th.
Your attention, please.
Season hangs in the balance as Francisco Cabrera comes to the plate to bat for the pitcher. He appeared in only 12 games this year for the Braves and batted only 10 times with 3 hits. He's 0 for 1 in this series. Belinda's first pitch, a breaking ball outside.
Now, if Belinda goes 2-0 to Cabrera, I'd have him take. He has not been up that much, and I think the chances then are better with a walk than a hit when you have to come off the bench and face a guy like Belinda.
A most unlikely man in the spotlight for Atlanta. 25-year-old Francisco Cabrera, who takes ball 2, 2-0. Pittsburgh 2, Atlanta 1, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The 2-0 pitch. Well hit, but hooking foul to left. He had the green light on 2-0 and hammered it, but well fouled over the Pirate bullpen.
And hit it very, very hard. Right in his wheelhouse, and it hooks foul.
He doesn't walk much. He walked only 17 times in 300 at-bats in AAA this year. He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit! Just as to score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe! Safe at the plate! The Braves go to the World Series! The unlikeliest of heroes wins the National League Championship Series for the Atlanta Braves. Francisco Cabrera, who had only 10 at-bats in the major leagues during the regular season, singled through the left side, scoring Sid Bream from second base with the winning run. Bream, who's had 5 knee operations in his lifetime, just beat the tag of his ex-mate Mike LaValliere. And Atlanta pulls out Game 7 with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. This place is bedlam. There will be no second nightmare for Bobby Cox.
Tough ball game. I'm green. Boy, Marvin.
The final score in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, the Braves 3 and the Pirates 2. We'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station.
Remarkable come-from-behind victory for the Atlanta Braves. and to present the league championship trophy to Ted Turner, Stan Kasten, the Atlanta president, and to John Schuerholz, their general manager, is the National League president, Bill White. Bill?
Thanks, Tim. Thank you very much. Ted, once again, my pleasure to give this to you for the second straight year, and good luck against the American League.
Thanks, Bill. We really appreciate it, and everybody had a part in this. I think almost every player played tonight, and it was the most exciting game, I think, in Atlanta history.
I couldn't agree with you more. Stan Kasten, the president of the Atlanta Braves, congratulations.
Thank you, Tim. It's so great to be here. I don't know, can you possibly feel better than this to win it the way we won it at the end? What a great way to end the great season, and hopefully it's not over yet.
And the fellow who put this machine together, John Schuerholz, the general manager.
Thanks, Tim. Here's a guy who did it right here, Bobby Cox. He did a great job with this ball club. I'm so happy for him and for Ted and everybody. It's wonderful.
Bobby, entering the ninth inning, did you think that champagne would be flowing in your clubhouse?
We just missed some opportunities during the ball game not to get them in, and you never know with our club. We've done it before, and you know, you never count them out. And I guess maybe we were a little lucky tonight, but we played awfully good also. And the Pirates are awfully tough. Draybeck pitched as good as you can humanly pitch tonight.
A rather unlikely scenario with Francisco Cabrera up there, huh?
Well, it was our last chance, and if we had tied that game, it was going to be real interesting. Gant was going to be at third base some and also at second base, rotating around.
Atlanta wins its second consecutive National League pennant, and we will be right back. The Atlanta clubhouse right after this.
Way to go, baby. Way to go. I was thinking about it.
Atlanta Braves, the first team to win the National League pennant in back-to-back years since the Dodgers in the late 70s. And for a while, it looked like this would be the play the fans would remember most when they look back at this game. The double play lined into by Jeff Blauser with the bases loaded and nobody out in the sixth inning. The Braves failed to score, and it was still 2-0 Pittsburgh. It stayed that way till the ninth when the Braves scored 3 to win it, and we check in again with Tim McCarver in the Atlanta locker room. Tim?
Well, Sean, as you can tell, I'm in the winners' locker room tonight, and to present the National League Championship Series Most Valuable Player Award here in this 1992 League Championship Series is Bud Feely from Chevrolet. Bud?
Thanks, Tim. John, congratulations to you and to the entire Braves organization for a great season and for an outstanding League Championship Series. On behalf of Chevrolet, I'm pleased to present to you the Chevrolet MVP Award for your outstanding performance, and also the keys to this brand new 1993 Chevrolet Astro van that will be donated by Chevrolet to the charity of your choice. Again, John, congratulations and best of luck in the World Series.
Thank you, Bud.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you very much. I just can't say enough. I thank God for going up for the opportunity. Draybeck pitched a great game. This is for Glavin and Avery, my mom, my dad, my wife, and I just thank Bobby for giving me the opportunity to go out and prove myself. And again, Frankie was the reason I got this reward, so this is a team award. I really can't say enough.
That is your third consecutive Game 7. You beat Pittsburgh 4-0 last year. You got a no decision, pitching very well in Minnesota, and you pitched well once again this evening.
Well, it was just a situation where I was going to go out fighting. Draybeck again just pitched his heart out, and it was a tough way to lose for them, but an exciting way to win for us. And again, I credit Pittsburgh with everything they did to come back in this series. It was a miracle win for us, and we'll take it and try to go on in the World Series.
All right, John, once again, congratulations. Now let's go to Jim Gray on the field.
Okay, Tim, I'm with manager Jim Leland, and Jim, can you begin to describe the heartache?
No, I don't think so. I think that this is a shocker. I think I'm still in shock. Number one, let me say congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. They did what they had to do, and it looked like it was our game. A tremendous effort by Draybeck, and Belinda come in and got a couple big outs for us. And, of course, 2 out base hits are golden, and Cabrera got one, a guy that very coyly added onto their roster just prior to the deadline. You got to give John Schuerholz and Bobby a lot of credit for that. Congratulations to them, and very disappointing, but the Pittsburgh Pirates walked tall tonight. We were just a little short 2 years in a row. It is definitely a heartbreaker, but as I told you before the game, this is a lesson for all the youngsters out there and everybody else that's watching. You know, sometimes things go your way and sometimes they don't, and you have to handle it, and you have to handle winning as well as handle losing. And my club's having a tough time doing that right now, but they can still walk very tall.
Jim, was there any doubt in your mind in the 9th inning that you wouldn't walk away with a victory?
Well, you know, the old yogiism, you know it's never over till it's over. So, I mean, you're always, you know, the heart's pumping pretty heavy all innings when you get in a situation like a sudden death game, which is what it was. You know, I felt pretty good about Doug. Obviously, the way he pitched to Breen, you could tell he was trying too hard. He had it, and he was dropping down. So, you know, we bring Belinda in and try to get a pop up or something. We get the out, and we get another out after that. You know, we look like we're still in pretty good shape. But like I say, 2 out base hits golden, and we just fell a little short.
Has it crossed your mind, or do you think that maybe this was your last chance, having been here now 3 times in a row?
Oh, I don't ever concern myself about that. Like I said, I managed this game and all games this year to the best of my ability. I feel comfortable with myself. You know, I'm not going to worry about stuff like that. I'm sure that someday I will get another chance. I'm certainly not going to give up on next year or any other year. You're a competitor. You go to work to do your job, and this is the ultimate to get in a situation like this, and we just weren't quite good enough when we had to be, but you got to credit the Atlanta Braves.
Jim, it's been an awful wonderful season for you. We appreciate your being so gracious to join us. Let's go back across to Tim McCarver.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Jim Leland mentioned another chance, and a man for the Atlanta Braves who got another chance this year. We've got to be eternally grateful for this chance. Last year, you were watching the World Series and not performing in it. Otis Nixon.
No question about it. I got one thing to say. This is a gift from God to all of us over here at the Atlanta Braves. It don't get no better. I tip my hat to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, these guys, that's a class act over there. But it just don't get no better. And I wasn't a part of this last year, but I'm here today, and it's a blessing from God. That's all I got to say.
He is here today, the National League champion Atlanta Braves, and we will be back to their clubhouse right after this.
I hope you can.
Just because you go all out?
Sports coverage of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Aetna, a policy to do more. Burger King, where you can get it your way, right away at Burger King now. And by the heartbeat of America, Chevrolet, and your local Chevy dealer.
Now for Tim McCarver, Pat O'Brien, and Jim Gray, I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. The final score of Game 7 of the National League Championship Series, the Atlanta Braves 3 and the Pittsburgh Pirates 2. And the fun is just beginning. We hope you'll join CBS Sports Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Baseball 92, followed by Game 1 of the 1992 World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays at the Atlanta Braves. You have been watching Major League Baseball on CBS Sports, home of the 1992 World Series. Francisco Cabrera's 2-run single with 2 outs at the bottom of the 9th gave Atlanta a 3-2 win in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The hero, a man who was placed on the Major League roster 1 day before the postseason roster had to be set on August 31st. The time was now for the Atlanta Braves, and now they look ahead to Saturday night. We'll see you then.
It happened around midnight Eastern Time, one of those